Chapter 1087. Spirit Fruits. Xiongquan was stunned when he took the spatial ring. However, his eyes lit up when he dripped his blood on the spatial ring to claim ownership of it, and saw the pile of crystal-clear spirit fruits inside. He was like a hunter who saw his prey. "Why, young master, are these spirit fruits for me?" Xiongquan's breathing quickened as he looked at Duan Lingtian and asked. It was his first time seeing so many spirit fruits. "Who else would I give them to if not you? Tian Wu, and I don't need these spirit fruits anyway," Duan Lingtian said in annoyance. "Thank you, young master. Thank you, young master." Although he knew Duan Lingtian would say that, Xiongquan could not help but feel excited when he heard it. He hurriedly thanked Duan Lingtian. "Take the spirit fruits and go back to your room to cultivate," Duan Lingtian said. "Yes." Xiongquan, who was eager to go back to his room to consume the spirit fruits to cultivate, responded respectfully and left when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. With these spirit fruits, his cultivation base would be able to improve rapidly in a short period of time. "I'll be able to help young master once my strength has improved." On the way back to his room, Xiongquan's heart was filled with excitement. If he did not want to continue being a burden behind the young master, he must quickly improve his cultivation base. After Xiongquan left, Duan Lingtian looked at Feng Tianwu, who was still trying to control her own strength. "Tianwu, I'm going to go into closed-door cultivation for a few days. You'll stay in the mansion for the next few days and don't go out." The coldness on Feng Tianwu's face faded a little when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. She nodded lightly. Tianwu, who has lost her memory, is completely clueless about how to control her own strength. "I'm afraid she'll need some time to master her strength when she was at her peak." After getting Feng Tianwu's agreement, Duan Lingtian glanced at the flames rising on Feng Tianwu's body before he turned around and left. After returning to his room, Duan Lingtian took out a crystal-clear spirit fruit. This spirit fruit was the only spirit fruit that was suitable for void transformation stage martial artists among the pile of spirit fruits that Lu Rui gave him. This spirit fruit seems to be called the red phosphorus fruit. After searching through Emperor Wu's memories, Duan Lingtian soon recognized the spirit fruit in his hand. It was shining with a crimson luster as if it was wrapped in a will-o'-the-wisp. Among the many spirit fruits consumed by void transformation martial artists, the red phosphorus fruit can only be ranked in the middle. It's very difficult for an ordinary 6th-level void transformation martial artist to break through to the 7th-level void transformation after consuming it. Duan Lingtian raised his eyebrows and muttered to himself, "After all, the gap between the 6th-level void transformation and the 7th-level void transformation is like a chasm that's extremely difficult to cross." However, that's only for an ordinary 6th-level void transformation martial artist. For example, although I'm also a 6th-level void transformation martial artist, after consuming this red phosphorus fruit, I can activate the domineering medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill that's hidden in my body, and help me to break through to the 7th-level void transformation easily. Duan Lingtian did not doubt this at all. On top of that, with the reward issued by the Lu clan, I think it won't take long for me to obtain enough spirit fruits to raise my cultivation base to the 9th-level void transformation. As for concepts, as long as I have the profound assimilation formation and a large number of concept fragments, I'll be able to comprehend all of them to the 9th-level advance. The moment he thought of this, Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. It was as though he could already see the scene when his strength was raised to the peak of the void. As long as my cultivation base breaks through to the 9th-level void transformation, I'll be able to use the profundity fragment to help any concept to transform into a profundity when it reaches the 9th-level advance. At that time, I'll only need to continue consuming spirit fruits and my cultivation base will break through to the martial monarch stage in one go. As soon as I break through to the martial monarch stage and become a martial monarch powerhouse, the medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill will be completely unleashed. At that time, my cultivation base will enter a period of rapid improvement. The more Duan Lingtian thought about this, the brighter his eyes shone. Even until now, the medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill was still limited. Most of it was hidden in his body, and would occasionally extend a gush of medicinal efficacy to help him raise his cultivation base. However, during this process, although his advancement was faster than an ordinary void transformation martial artist, it was still extremely slow. As soon as his cultivation base broke through to the martial monarch stage, the medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill would enter a whole new period of explosive growth. At that time, he would only need to compare himself with other martial monarch powerhouses. It's time to start cultivating. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian calmed his surging emotions and swallowed the red phosphorus fruit in his hand, allowing it to transform into medicinal efficacy that merged into his body. At the same time, Duan Lingtian could clearly sense that the medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill hidden in the depths of his dantian had a reaction. Soon, the medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill and the red phosphorus fruit merged together and urged his origin energy to circulate at lightning speed around his meridians. 9 dragons wore sovereign technique, roving dragon form. Without any hesitation, Duan Lingtian circulated his mental cultivation method and closed his eyes at the same time to meditate and cultivate. Unknowingly, 3 concept fragments appeared in his hand. If there was another person here, he or she would definitely be shocked to see that the 3 concept fragments in Duan Lingtian's hand were 3 completely different concept fragments. Holding 3 different concept fragments at the same time and comprehending 3 different concepts without any pressure at all. If news of this were to spread out, it would be enough to shock all the martial artists on Cloud Continent. This was because in the long history of Cloud Continent, there had never been such a human or demon beast. Not to mention comprehending 3 different concepts with the help of 3 different concept fragments. Even in the history of Cloud Continent, there had never been a person who could comprehend 2 different concepts by relying on 2 different concept fragments. 3 different concepts. Duan Lingtian's mind was immersed in the 3 different concept fragments as he sensed their profundity to his heart's content. He intended to master them and improve the concept he comprehended. At the same time, the origin energy in his body was not idle. Under the dual effects of the rebirth pill and the red phosphorus fruit, it was improving at an extremely fast speed. While Duan Lingtian was cultivating, the entire Lu clan was in an uproar. No, it was not just the Lu clan. In the vast estate controlled by the Lu clan where the Lu clan's estate was located, a shocking piece of news spread out and shocked everyone who heard the news. After the Lu clan issued a bounty with a shocking reward last time, they issued another bounty with a shocking reward. There was a small village 1,000 miles north of the Lu clan's estate. Although the village was small, it was extremely lively. This was because this village was the only place within 10,000 miles north of the Lu clan's estate that had a restaurant. Although there was only one restaurant, it was packed with people all day long and was extremely lively. Hey, did you guys hear? The Lu clan issued another bounty with a shocking reward. A sturdy man who had just entered the restaurant and sat down at a table said with a grin, "Lu clan? Bounty?" His words immediately attracted many people's attention. Most of these eyes were filled with curiosity. What reward? What bounty? Soon someone could not help but ask. Humph. Before the sturdy man could reply, someone snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "Since the bounty the Lu clan issued this time has a shocking reward, in terms of difficulty, it's definitely not inferior to the bounty they issued last time." I've heard about the bounty the Lu clan issued last time. It seems to be about finding a stalk of grass. However, the characteristics of that grass are extremely unique. I've never heard of anyone who has seen that grass before. For a mere stalk of grass, the Lu clan even promised a grade 1 spirit weapon and 10 grade 1 life recovery pills. Many people in our northern mountain land have been alerted and are looking for that grass like crazy. Soon after, many people chimed in. I wonder if the Lu clan issued such a bounty on purpose to prank us. I know many people, and some of them are well-traveled people. However, all of them said they've never seen that grass before. A middle-aged man suddenly said, Humph. The Lu clan is one of the 2 most powerful clans in our northern mountain land. They're also a noble clan of alchemists. Why would they prank us for no reason? Soon after, someone refuted the middle-aged man. The Lu clan has a good reputation in our northern mountain land since 10,000 years ago. It's impossible for them to prank us. Many people chimed in. What's the bounty the Lu clan issued this time? Someone asked the sturdy man who started the conversation. Ha! Speaking of which, the bounty the Lu clan issued this time is much simpler than the previous bounty. The sturdy man said as he drank. Oh, Many people's interest was piqued when they heard the sturdy man's words. They remembered the sturdy man had said that the reward for the Lu clan's bounty this time was shocking as well. A reward that could be described as shocking must be something good. It was enough to tempt them. This time, the Lu clan has issued a public bounty for void transformation stage martial artists. There's no limit to the number and type of spirit fruits. The sturdy man did not beat around the bush and said directly, "That's it?" The sturdy man's words stunned everyone present. They found it unbelievable. In their opinion, although the spirit fruit consumed by a void transformation stage martial artist was precious, it was not a rare item. In fact, some of them had consumed them before. That's right. That's it. The sturdy man nodded. What reward did the Lu clan offer? Everyone present was most concerned about this. The Lu clan announced that any martial artist who offers the Lu clan a spirit fruit consumed by void transformation stage martial artists will be rewarded with a grade 1 life recovery pill. The sturdy man said. The moment the sturdy man's words left his mouth, the scene fell silent. Chapter 1088. A grade 1 life recovery pill? Soon after, someone said with a mocking smile, "What a Lu clan! What a wishful thinking! They want to exchange a mere grade 1 life recovery pill for a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit?" Although a grade 1 life recovery pill was precious, its value was still far from the spirit fruit consumed by a void transformation stage martial artist. Everyone knew about this. The Lu clan actually issued such a bounty. Do they really think we're idiots? I'm afraid only idiots would use a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit to exchange for a mere grade 1 life recovery pill. If I bring a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit to the northern mountain city's black market, I can at least exchange it for 3 grade 1 life recovery pills. A commotion broke out in the restaurant. Everyone felt the northern mountains Lu clan was scamming them by issuing such a bounty. Big guy, is a mere grade 1 life recovery pill the shocking reward you're talking about? Someone looked at the sturdy man and mocked him. Although a grade 1 life recovery pill is precious, it can't be considered shocking. Another person looked at the sturdy man and said. At once, the sturdy man became everyone's target. Humph! The sturdy man snorted coldly in the face of the mockery and ridicule from the people in the restaurant. He said in disdain, "What do you know? If it's just an ordinary grade 1 life recovery pill, would I say it's a shocking reward?" The sturdy man's voice overpowered the mockery and ridicule from the people in the restaurant. Everyone could not help but be stunned. What do you mean by that? That's right. What do you mean by an ordinary grade 1 life recovery pill? Don't tell me you're trying to say the grade 1 life recovery pill that the Northern Mountains Lu clan took out is not an ordinary grade 1 life recovery pill? Humph! Including the Northern Mountains Lu clan, all the grade 1 life recovery pills circulating in the entire Southern Outerland are made by Guild Master Chung from the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the Southern Outerland. Many people voiced their opinions and refuted the sturdy man. All the grade 1 life recovery pills circulating in the Southern Outerland are made by the Guild Master of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the Southern Outerland? The burly man smiled brightly. I say, isn't your news a little too outdated? Don't tell me you haven't heard that the Lu clan has a new grade 1 alchemist not long ago? I remember now. The Lu clan's first interim elder, who was the talk of the town not long ago, is a grade 1 alchemist. Now that the Lu clan has their own grade 1 alchemist, there's no need for them to look for Guildmaster Chung to refine grade 1 pills. Soon after, someone regained his senses and recalled the Lu clan already had a grade 1 alchemist of their own. The Lu clan has a grade 1 alchemist? Immediately, some of the people who had just left home were shocked. This was the first time they had heard of this news. So what if the Lu clan had their own grade 1 alchemist? Don't tell me the grade 1 life recovery pill he refined is better than the one refined by Guildmaster Chung from our Alchemist Guild's main guild in the Southern Outerland? The grade 1 medicinal pills refined by Guildmaster Chung often have a purity of 70% and above. It's not easy to refine medicinal pills that are better than the medicinal pills refined by him. That's right. Even if the Lu clan has their own grade 1 alchemist, it's impossible for him to be better than Guildmaster Chung, let alone refine medicinal pills that are better than the medicinal pills refined by Guildmaster Chung. Many people spoke up again. Based on their words, it was obvious that they were full of respect for Guildmaster Chang from the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land. What a frog in a well! The sturdy man glared coldly at the group of people who looked down on the Lu clan's Grade 1 Alchemist Master and said slowly, enunciating each word clearly. His voice was loud and clear, easily suppressing the discussion of the crowd. At once, everyone shifted their attention to him again. Many people's eyes seemed as though they were about to spit fire. Frog in a well? Then I'd like to hear you tell me how we're frog in a well? A middle-aged man was so angry that he stood up from his seat. He glared at the sturdy man and said in a deep voice, "If you can't give me a good reason today, I'll make you bleed." The moment his words left his mouth, a domineering aura swept out from the middle-aged man's body, causing the people around him to feel pressured. A powerhouse at the peak of the void. Soon after, someone could not help but exclaim. At once, everyone looked at the middle-aged man with dread in their eyes. They regarded him as a scourge, as though they were afraid he would swallow them whole. However, their eyes quickly shifted away from the middle-aged man who was at the peak of the void and landed on the sturdy man in unison. I'm afraid this fellow is going to be unlucky. If he can't give me a good reason today, this powerhouse at the peak of the void will definitely not let him go. How dare he say we're frog in a well and offend everyone the moment he opens his mouth? He's seeking death. I'd like to see what he has to say. The crowd discussed among themselves. They all thought the sturdy man was going to be unlucky. Through the aura emitted from the middle-aged man's body, the sturdy man could not help but feel dread when he sensed the middle-aged man was at the peak of the void. However, the dread in his eyes soon disappeared, and he became fearless. All of you are saying that Elder Duan from the Lu clan is inferior to Guildmaster Chang. I wonder if any of you have witnessed Elder Duan refining pills with your own eyes, or have you obtained a Grade 1 pill refined by Elder Duan and compared it with Guildmaster Chang's Grade 1 pill? The sturdy man asked as he looked at the crowd. Everyone looked at each other, but no one made a sound. Although this was the first time many of them had heard of an Elder Duan from the Lu clan. However, it was easy for them to connect the Elder Duan mentioned by the sturdy man to the Grade 1 Alchemist Master from the Lu clan. Therefore, nobody thought it was strange. However, they collectively remained silent in the face of the sturdy man's question. None of them had seen the Grade 1 Alchemist Master from Lu clan before, let alone witnessing him refining pills with their own eyes. They had never come into contact with the Grade 1 pills refined by the other party, so they had no way of comparing them. What? You have nothing to say? The sturdy man sneered and mocked. You don't know anything. And yet you're talking nonsense about the Lu clan's Elder Duan? What a joke. The sturdy man's words caused everyone's faces to turn pale. Humph. Based on what you said, the Grade 1 Alchemist Master from the Lu clan must be very skilled in refining medicine. I'd like to hear how miraculous the Grade 1 life recovery pill he refined is to be praised so highly by you. That's right. As the saying goes, all talk and no action. If you're so capable, tell us how high the purity of the Grade 1 life recovery pill, refined by the Lu clan's elder is. Since the Lu clan dares to be so thick-skinned as to exchange it for a void transformation stage martial artist's spirit fruit, don't tell me the purity of the Grade 1 life recovery pill he refined is above 75%? Soon after, the crowd regained their senses and questioned the sturdy man, unwilling to be left behind. In their opinion, a Grade 1 life recovery pill that was worth as much as a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit had to have a purity of at least 75%. This was because only a Grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of 75% or above would have a better effect than a Grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of 70% or below. Only a Grade 1 life recovery pill like that would be worth as much as a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit. Moreover, they did not think the Lu clan's Grade 1 alchemist elder would be able to refine a Grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of 75% or above. On Cloud Continent, let alone the outer land where they were, even in the inner land, a Grade 1 alchemist who could refine a Grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of 75% or above was as rare as a phoenix feather or a Qilin horn. A purity of 75% or above. Upon hearing the crowd's words, the sturdy man was stunned for a moment before he burst out laughing. He seemed to have lost control of his emotions and could not stop laughing for a long time. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Waves of laughter filled the restaurant, causing the faces of the people in the restaurant to turn even gloomier. Are you done laughing? Finally, the middle-aged man who was at the peak of the void asked coldly. His voice was as loud as thunder and suppressed the sturdy man's laughter. At this moment, the sturdy man finally stopped laughing. What are you laughing at? The middle-aged man asked in a deep voice as his eyes gleamed coldly. Of course, I'm laughing at them for being narrow-minded. The sturdy man glanced at the middle-aged man fearfully before he looked at the others and said rudely, "Then I'd like to hear how narrow-minded they are?" The middle-aged man stared at the sturdy man and asked word by word while the crowd was furious. Do you think the Liu clan is taking out a grade 1 life recovery pill to exchange for a spirit fruit for a void transformation stage martial artist, because the person who exchanged the spirit fruit will suffer a loss? Do all of you think only a grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of 75% or above is worth as much as a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit? The burly man looked around and asked 2 questions to the people in the restaurant. Although the crowd did not speak, their eyes undoubtedly acknowledged this point. Very good. Seeing that the crowd did not deny it, the sturdy man narrowed his eyes and told them everything he heard without holding back. Then I'll tell all of you. According to the news from the Liu clan, the grade 1 life recovery pill that the Liu clan is exchanging for a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit has a purity of 90% or above. 90%. The moment the sturdy man's words left his mouth, the restaurant that had already quieted down fell into a dead silence. Even the powerhouse at the peak of the void who was staring at the sturdy man covetously stood rooted to the ground. He was stunned. Chapter 1089. 90%. 90%. The sturdy man's voice reverberated in the minds of the people in the restaurant. They were so shocked that they did not regain their senses for a long time. A grade 1 life recovery pill? 90% purity? Soon after, someone regained his senses. He looked at the sturdy man and snorted. You're not bluffing, are you? A grade 1 life recovery pill with 90% purity? Even those grade 1 alchemists in the inner land might not be able to refine it. More than 90% purity? What a joke. I don't care if you believe it or not. I don't believe it. I don't believe it either. The people in the restaurant regained their senses and began to discuss among themselves. Based on their words, it was obvious they did not believe the sturdy man's words. At this moment, the powerhouse at the peak of the void standing in front of the sturdy man was also glaring at him. His domineering aura swept out again and pressed down on the sturdy man's body. Barf! The sturdy man who was caught off guard was suppressed by the aura until his vital energy and blood surged in his body. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned extremely pale. However, although he was injured, he did not dare to show any signs of anger. Who knew if he would anger the powerhouse at the peak of the void in front of him? If the powerhouse killed him, he would have no one to complain about his injustice. Is what you said true? The powerhouse at the peak of the void asked in a deep voice. Of course it's true. Although the powerhouse had injured him, the sturdy man did not dare to ignore the powerhouse. He hastily said, the reward came from the Liu clan. They're offering a grade 1 life recovery pill with 90% purity in exchange for a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit. The moment the sturdy man's words left his mouth, the people in the restaurant fell silent again. They could see it. The sturdy man did not seem like he was lying. The Liu clan is an ancient clan that has a history of 10,000 years in the northern mountain land. It's impossible for them to make a false promise. Someone muttered after a while. Indeed, an ancient clan like the Liu clan values their reputation the most. If they don't have a grade 1 life recovery pill with 90% purity or more, they wouldn't make such a promise. Many people nodded in agreement. In the northern mountain land, regardless of whether it was the alchemist clan, the Liu clan, or the weapons craftsman clan, the O clan, both of them were ancient clans that had existed for 10,000 years. The two great clans had always placed great importance on their reputation. Their reputation in the northern mountain land was very good. You're right, but isn't that grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of 90% and above a little too exaggerated? Someone smiled bitterly. Yeah, it's too exaggerated. As far as I know, even the Grade 1 alchemist who founded the Liu clan 10,000 years ago, the person who's widely acknowledged as the most outstanding alchemist in the northern mountain land for the past 10,000 years, the Grade 1 pills he refined only have 80% purity at most. I've heard of this before. That's what the rumors say. Everyone in the restaurant was in a heated discussion. Most of them still found it hard to believe. If the Liu clan can really produce a Grade 1 life recovery pill with more than 90% purity, then the person who refined such a Grade 1 life recovery pill must be the Grade 1 alchemist elder who joined the Liu clan not long ago. Suddenly, someone couldn't help but guess. I heard that the Grade 1 alchemist is a young man who's not even 30 years old yet. Someone else said. However, the moment his words left his mouth, it was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. What? Not even 30 years old yet? A Grade 1 alchemist who's not even 30 years old yet? The entire restaurant was in an uproar at once. Most of the people present had only heard that the Liu clan had a new Grade 1 alchemist elder recently. They did not know that the Grade 1 alchemist elder was a young man who was not even 30 years old yet. A Grade 1 alchemist who was not even 30 years old was just like a Grade 1 life recovery pill with more than 90% purity. It was enough to shock them from the bottom of their hearts. It's actually not difficult to verify the authenticity of this. All you have to do is bring a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit to the Liu clan to exchange for it. Then everything will be clear. Soon after, someone suggested, "That's right." The others nodded in agreement. No matter if it was a donkey or a horse, they would only know after taking it out for a walk. In the Liu clan's estate. Crackle, crackle. In the master bedroom of a spacious mansion in the east, the crisp sound of bones rubbing against each other suddenly resonated. The sound was exceptionally pleasant to the ears. A young man who had just gotten out of bed was stretching his arms and legs in front of the bed. The sound came from his body. The young man wore a purple robe. He had dashing eyebrows and bright eyes. He was extraordinarily handsome. At this moment there was a faint smile on his handsome face. If there was a second person here, that person would definitely feel as though they were bathing in the spring breeze when they saw the smile on his face. The bottleneck to the 8th level void transformation stage is also out. All I need is a void transformation stage martial artist spirit fruit to successfully break through to the 8th level void transformation stage. And after breaking through to the 8th level void transformation stage, I only need one spirit fruit to break through to the 9th level void transformation stage. The purple-clad young man raised his eyebrows and muttered to himself. This purple-clad young man was none other than Duan Lingtian, who had successfully broken through to the next level after consuming the red phosphorus fruit. However, my concept has not improved at all in these few days. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he stretched out his hands and opened his palms. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian's hands shook and clenched into fists. Boom! In an instant, a milky white flame soared up from his body. The flame was fierce and shot up into the sky as though it was going to pierce through the ceiling of the room above him. As the milky white flame soared up, waves of rolling airwaves swept out, causing the tables and cabinets in the room to shake as though there was an earthquake. Whoosh! At the same time, above Duan Lingtian's head, the heaven and earth energy stirred and gathered into the heaven and earth phenomenon. In the next moment, 1,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons appeared. They meandered down looking lifelike. Just the origin energy alone was equivalent to the strength of 1,000 ancient horned dragons. This was the symbol of a 7th level void transformation stage martial artist. In the past, when I used the quasi-royal grade spirit sword and unleashed my full strength, my strength was equivalent to the strength of 3,500 ancient horned dragons. Duan Lingtian recalled. Not long ago, my sword concept rose from the 5th level advanced stage to the 8th level advanced stage. My strength rose along with it, and it was equivalent to the strength of 3,800 ancient horned dragons. Now, my cultivation base has broken through from the 6th level void transformation stage to the 7th level void transformation stage. Due to the fact that there's a divide between the two, my origin energy has increased by 200 ancient horned dragons' strength after the transformation, coupled with the doubled boost from the quasi-royal grade spirit sword. Now that I've unleashed all my techniques and unleashed my full strength, it's equivalent to the strength of 4,200 ancient horned dragons. At this moment, Duan Lingtian had a whole new understanding of his strength. Now, I can even defeat an ordinary powerhouse at the peak of the void. Unknowingly, a confident and brilliant smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's face. I wonder how Tianwu has mastered her own strength now. Duan Lingtian's heart jolted. He immediately walked out of the room and went to the backyard. Tianwu isn't here. When he arrived at the backyard, Duan Lingtian did not see Feng Tianwu. He only found out after asking the servant girl that Feng Tianwu had not come to the backyard since the day before yesterday. She had been staying in her room all this while. Elder Duan. Just when Duan Lingtian was about to leave the backyard, he noticed servant Xiao Yun was rushing towards him. Duan Lingtian looked at servant Xiao Yun in confusion. Elder Duan Chao Chao. Chao Chao is waiting for you in the main hall. Servant Xiao Yun said while gasping for breath after she arrived near Duan Lingtian. Chao Chao. Duan Lingtian was stunned at first before he realized the Chao Chao that servant Xiao Yun mentioned was the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui. The corner of his mouth twitched imperceptibly. Could it be that the clan leader has offered a reward for the spirit fruit that a void transformation stage martial artist consumes? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up immediately. He hurriedly left the backyard and rushed to the main hall. I wonder how many spirit fruits the patriarch has offered as a reward for void transformation stage martial artists. If the reward is 2 that I haven't consumed before, then that would be awesome. So long as I'm given a period of time, my cultivation will break through to the 9th level of the void transformation stage in one go. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he made his way there. Soon after, Duan Lingtian arrived at the main hall and met the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui. Elder Duan. Lu Rui bowed respectfully when he met Duan Lingtian in private. He knew very well. As long as the young man in front of him did not die prematurely, he would definitely become a powerhouse like Emperor Wu in the future. Due to this reason, he did not dare to slight the young man. Clan leader, did you come to see me because you found the reward? Duan Lingtian asked while suppressing the excitement in his heart. Yes. Lu Rui nodded. How many? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. He could no longer suppress his excitement and asked excitedly. How many? However, Lu Rui was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He looked at Duan Lingtian in a daze. He did not know why Duan Lingtian would ask such a question. Didn't you say that you found the location of the spirit fruit? Duan Lingtian could not help but be stunned as well. Lu Rui finally understood why Duan Lingtian would ask such a question when he heard Duan Lingtian's question. Elder Duan, it's not that we've found the location of the spirit fruit, but we found the reward that you asked me to send out earlier. The reward that you sent out earlier? Duan Lingtian did not realize it at first. However, he finally recalled it in a blink of an eye. He asked excitedly, Clan leader, you mean, we've found the location of the soul-stabilizing grass? The soul-stabilizing grass. It was the heaven and earth treasure that could help Feng Tianwu recover her memory. In Duan Lingtian's opinion, the soul-stabilizing grass was undoubtedly much more important than the spirit fruit that void transformation martial artists consumed. There were many of the latter on Cloud Continent. It was not difficult to find them. Chapter 1090. Yes. Lu Rui nodded. Someone came to visit our Lu clan today. He said he saw the soul-stabilizing grass in a remote mountain range. Did that person bring the soul-stabilizing grass? Where is he now? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he heard Lu Rui's words. His breathing quickened involuntarily. That person didn't bring the soul-stabilizing grass with him. Lu Rui shook his head in the face of Duan Lingtian's anticipation. His words were like a bucket of cold water that splashed Duan Lingtian's head. It made Duan Lingtian wake up completely. He didn't bring the soul-stabilizing grass with him? Duan Lingtian frowned in confusion. Yes. Lu Rui nodded. I heard from that person that there's a demon that can transform into a human guarding the soul-stabilizing grass in that remote mountain range. He's not a match for that demon, so he can't take the soul-stabilizing grass. Demon? Duan Lingtian's frown deepened. Is that demon very powerful? In the entire Cloud Continent, the soul-stabilizing grass could be considered as an extremely rare treasure of heaven and earth. It was not strange that the place where it grew was guarded by a powerful demon. I heard from that person that the demon's strength is almost at the peak of the void, Lu Rui said nonchalantly. Lu Rui said nonchalantly, a demon at the peak of the void is nothing. I'm going to ask Elder Ji to follow him to the mountain range to retrieve the soul-stabilizing herb. Duan Lingtian naturally knew who Elder Ji was. He was one of the 3 guardian elders of the Lu clan. In the past, when he had just arrived at the Lu clan, he had met Lu Ji once. However, he did not see him again after he joined the Lu clan. However, I haven't asked Elder Ji to follow that person to retrieve the soul-stabilizing grass. According to what I know, it's best to refine many herbs as soon as they're plucked. Only in that way can we fully display its medicinal properties. Lu Rui voiced his concerns. Elder Duan, is there a need to pay attention to the soul-stabilizing grass? If not, I will immediately go find Elder Ji and ask him to go with that person and retrieve the soul-stabilizing grass. It's normal for you to have such concerns. However, you're only talking about ordinary herbs. Soul-stabilizing grass can't be compared to ordinary herbs, Duan Lingtian said. The soul-stabilizing grass and the immortal spirit grass he obtained from Emperor Wu's secret treasure were not ordinary herbs. Of course, compared to the soul-stabilizing grass, the immortal spirit grass was much more precious. The immortal spirit grass was, after all, a legendary herb. Even the reincarnation Emperor Wu had never seen one in his 2 lifetimes. As for the soul-stabilizing grass, reincarnation Emperor Wu had seen it a few times. In that case, I'll go find Elder Ji now. After Lu Rui finished speaking, he turned around and prepared to leave. Patriarch. At this moment, Duan Lingtian stopped Lu Rui. Is there anything else, Elder Duan? If it's about the soul-stabilizing grass, you can rest assured. If Elder Ji makes a move, it won't be difficult for him to obtain the soul-stabilizing grass. Lu Rui looked at Duan Lingtian with a puzzled expression before he reassured Duan Lingtian. Patriarch, I don't doubt Elder Ji's strength. I just want to go with Elder Ji to retrieve the soul-stabilizing grass. Duan Lingtian revealed his plan. He had been staying in the Lu clan's mansion recently. Coupled with the fact that he had been cultivating for the past few days, he wanted to go out and relax. Of course, most importantly, he wanted to see if there were any other heaven and earth treasures in the place where the soul-stabilizing grass grew. According to the reincarnation Emperor Wu's memory, the soul-stabilizing grass is an extremely rare herb. The place where the soul-stabilizing grass grows must have a good environment. That kind of environment is suitable for many heaven and earth treasures to grow. Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. His eyes lit up, and a hint of anticipation appeared on his face. In his opinion, he had been very lucky ever since he came to the Lu clan. First, he obtained the soul-fixing root from the Lu clan. Then, he obtained news of the soul-stabilizing grass. This time, he was going to retrieve the soul-stabilizing grass with Lu Ji. Perhaps he might really encounter other heaven and earth treasures. Elder Duan, you're going with us? Lu Rui was stunned. Why? Is there a problem? Duan Lingtian asked. There's no problem. I'm just concerned about your safety, Elder Duan. Unfortunately, Elder Yuan and Elder Gui went out a few days ago. They'll only be back in half a month. When Lu Rui reached this part of the sentence, he said with a worried expression on his face, Isn't there still Elder Ji? Duan Lingtian felt warm in his heart. He shook his head and said with a smile, With Elder Ji around, are you still worried that something will happen to me? Besides, is there anyone who dares to offend the Lu clan in the northern mountain land? Duan Lingtian felt Lu Rui's concern had caused him to panic. However, he could understand why Lu Rui would do that. After all, in Lu Rui's eyes, not only was he a grade 1 alchemist who could refine grade 1 pills with more than 90% purity, but he was also a future martial monarch powerhouse. He could not afford to lose him. That's true. Lu Rui nodded awkwardly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He also realized he had caused himself to panic. In the northern mountain land, only the O clan was qualified to be compared to the Lu clan. The other second-rate forces were not even enough to fill the gaps between the Lu clan's teeth. Those second-rate forces only had one martial monarch powerhouse each. Their strength was not comparable to any of the 3 great guardian elders of the Lu clan. I'll go with you. When Duan Lingtian and Lu Rui walked out of the main hall together, A cold voice entered their ears. They could not help but shudder. When they turned their heads to look, they saw a silhouette that looked like a fire elf standing nearby. It was a red-clad lady with a face that could topple a nation. The only flaw was that her face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Her entire body was emitting a cold aura that repelled people thousands of miles away. Even if it was just a short sentence, it seemed to be able to freeze the air around her. Tianwu. With just a glance, Duanling Tian recognized the red-clad lady. He asked in surprise, "Why did you come out?" "I'll go with you." Feng Tianwu did not answer Duanling Tian's question. She repeated what she said earlier. Her tone was still indifferent, but it was not as cold as before. "Let's go together if you want to." Duanling Tian smiled. "All right." After receiving Duanling Tian's consent, Feng Tianwu, who was emitting a cold aura, flew forward and followed Duanling Tian like a shadow. "You must be Miss Tianwu, right? I'm Lu Rui, the clan leader of Lu clan." Lu Rui greeted Feng Tianwu with a smile. Although he had seen Feng Tianwu in the past, Feng Tianwu was lying in the ice coffin. They did not have any interaction at all. Now that he saw Feng Tianwu in person, he did not dare to neglect her. This was because he had learned about Feng Tianwu from Duanling Tian's servant girl. He knew that the soul-fixing root and soul-stabilizing grass that Elder Duan was looking for were for her. It was obvious that Elder Duan valued this lady a lot. Naturally, he did not dare to neglect her. This lady might become Emperor Wu's woman in the future. She was not someone he could offend. However, Feng Tianwu completely ignored Lu Rui when he took the initiative to greet her. She did not even raise her eyebrows. She completely ignored Lu Rui. Lu Rui felt a little awkward at that moment. "Elder Duan, let's go look for Elder Ji." In order to cover up the awkwardness, Lu Rui quickly greeted Duanling Tian and led the way out of the mansion. "Tianwu, let's go as well." Duanling Tian called out to Feng Tianwu and followed Lu Rui. Feng Tianwu did not reply. She merely followed Duanling Tian silently, as though she was Duanling Tian's shadow. Soon after, Duanling Tian met Lu Ji, one of the 3 Lu clan's guardian elders, under Lu Rui's lead. "Elder Duan." When Lu Ji saw Duanling Tian again, he greeted Duanling Tian enthusiastically. There was a hint of respect in the depth of this old man's eyes. It was respect for Duanling Tian. A few days ago, he had already found out that this Elder Duan could refine grade 1 pills with a purity of 90% and above. It could be said that he was utterly impressed by him. "Elder Ji." Duanling Tian also greeted Lu Ji with a smile on his face. "This must be Miss Tianwu, right?" Lu Ji's eyes quickly landed on Feng Tianwu, who was standing next to Duanling Tian. He greeted Feng Tianwu with a smile. Upon seeing this, the corner of Lu Rui's mouth twitched slightly. A smirk appeared on his face. In his opinion, Feng Tianwu would ignore Elder Ji just like how she ignored him earlier. Elder Ji was destined to be defeated. However, the smile on his face soon froze. "You're very strong." He noticed that Feng Tianwu had spoken. She had spoken to Lu Ji. The scene before his eyes completely shattered the illusion in his heart. "Thank you for your compliment, Miss Tianwu." Upon hearing Feng Tianwu's words, Lu Ji replied politely. It was obvious he knew the relationship between Feng Tianwu and Duanling Tian was close. "Elder Ji, you'll go with Elder Duan and Miss Tianwu this time." At this moment, Lu Rui looked at Lu Ji and told him everything that had happened. "No problem." Lu Ji agreed right away. He then looked at Duanling Tian. "Congratulations, Elder Duan. You found what you want. We haven't gotten the thing yet." Duanling Tian shook his head lightly and said, "We should depart as soon as possible. I'm afraid something might happen if we delay." "I can depart now," Lu Ji said. "All right. I'll bring you to that person and ask him to bring you to the soul-stabilizing herb." Upon hearing the urgency in Duanling Tian's voice, Lu Rui did not hesitate and went straight to the point. He brought the 3 Duanling Tian and Duanling Tian to the place where the informant was placed. Soon after, a short, wretched-looking middle-aged man with a missing front tooth appeared before Duanling Tian. 3rd level void transformation. Duanling Tian's spiritual energy immediately probed the wretched-looking middle-aged man's cultivation base. "Wow! Beautiful!" The wretched-looking middle-aged man's gaze swept past Duanling Tian, Lu Rui, and Lu Ji before it landed on Feng Tianwu. He could no longer move his gaze away as he cried out loudly, "I'll gouge your eyes out if you keep looking." Chapter 1091. However, the wretched-looking middle-aged man did not seem to hear Feng Tianwu's words. He continued to look at Feng Tianwu's beautiful face without restraint. Just as Feng Tianwu's eyes turned cold and was about to make a move, bang! A loud sound reverberated in the air. Feng Tianwu only saw a flash before the wretched-looking middle-aged man's eyes before he was sent flying. A figure that looked like purple lightning followed closely behind. A moment later, the wretched-looking middle-aged man fell to the ground. He was struggling to stand up when his vision turned black. He could only see a foot stomping on his face. He did not have time to react at all. Boom! Duan Lingtian stomped on the wretched-looking middle-aged man's head to the ground. No matter how the wretched-looking middle-aged man struggled, he was still as steady as Mount Tai. Duan Lingtian's face was covered in coldness just like Feng Tianwu's face, and his eyes flickered with a fierce light. Ever since Feng Tianwu went berserk for him, and was willing to activate the fire spirit body's energy in her body, he had completely accepted Feng Tianwu. He even treated Feng Tianwu as his woman. How could he tolerate someone profaning his woman now? If it was not for the fact that this person was still useful to him, he would have stomped on this person's head until it exploded. Feng Tianwu's heart trembled slightly when she saw the scene before her. A sense of happiness rose in her heart. Perhaps my relationship with him in the past was really special. Feng Tianwu muttered to herself. Clan leader Lu. I want him dead. I want him dead. At this moment, the wretched-looking middle-aged man whose head was being stomped on by Duan Lingtian realized he could not break free from Duan Lingtian's grip. He looked at Duan Lingtian in the distance. If he doesn't die, I'll never tell you the whereabouts of the herb. The wretched-looking middle-aged man roared. A grade 1 spirit weapon and 10 grade 1 life recovery pills. Now the grade 1 spirit weapon is gone. Duan Lingtian exerted force with his foot and stomped half of the wretched middle-aged man's head into the soil. He then said lightly. When the wretched middle-aged man heard Duan Lingtian's words, he was stunned. This is Elder Duan. Our Lu clan was the one who posted the reward on his behalf. He was the one who gave the promised reward as well. Lu Rui looked at the wretched middle-aged man with pity and said slowly, If you don't give me a grade 1 spirit weapon, I won't bring you to look for that grass. The wretched middle-aged man's eyes flickered with a fierce light. After spitting out a few mouthfuls of sand that he had accidentally eaten, he threatened fiercely. When I used to kick a watermelon, I could break it with one kick. However, I have never kicked a person's head before. I don't know which one is harder than a watermelon. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he stepped on the head of the wretched middle-aged man. No! No! Hearing Duan Lingtian's muttering, the wretched middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. He shouted in horror, I'll take you there. I'll take you there. He was really afraid that this young man who was much more powerful than him would kick his head like a watermelon. With this young man's strength, he would definitely die with just one kick. Didn't you say that you won't take me there? Duan Lingtian asked nonchalantly. There was a hint of coldness in his tone. It was bone-chilling. I was joking. That's right. I was joking. Sensing the coldness in Duan Lingtian's tone, the wretched middle-aged man panicked and explained hysterically. Humph! Keep your eyes open. If you look where you shouldn't look again, I'll let you know how to write the word regret. Duan Lingtian retracted his foot and snorted coldly. Yes, yes. The wretched middle-aged man quickly responded. He did not dare to neglect or hesitate at all. After he struggled to stand up, he did not dare to look at Feng Tianwu anymore, even if it was just a glance. Upon seeing this, Lu Rui and Lu Ji, who were standing at the side, looked at each other and saw the realization in each other's eyes. It seemed like it was just as they had guessed. The relationship between Elder Duan and Feng Tianwu was not simple at all. Lead the way. Duan Lingtian shouted as he looked at the wretched middle-aged man. His eyes flashed fiercely. Yes, yes. The wretched middle-aged man was really afraid of Duan Lingtian now. Without any hesitation, he took the lead and rose into the air. He flew toward the east at an extremely fast speed. However, Duan Lingtian, who had already informed Lu Rui, followed the wretched middle-aged man at a leisurely pace even though he was flying with Feng Tianwu. Whoosh! A moment later Lu Ji rose into the air and caught up with Duan Lingtian and the other two in just a blink of an eye. How did you find the soul-anchoring grass in that place? Duan Lingtian looked at the wretched middle-aged man and asked nonchalantly along the way. Soul-anchoring grass? The wretched middle-aged man was stunned. It's the grass that I put a bounty on, Duan Lingtian said. I discovered it by accident when I passed by that place. Fortunately, I ran away quickly that time. Otherwise, I would have died in the hands of that demon. A heartfelt fear appeared on the wretched middle-aged man's face when he recalled his previous experience. How far is it from here? Duan Lingtian asked again. With our current speed, we'll be there in a day and a night at most, the wretched middle-aged man said. A day and a night was not a long time for Duan Lingtian. It passed in the blink of an eye. When the dawn of the next day shrouded the land and shone on Duan Lingtian saw a continuous mountain range in the distance that was approaching them. It's there. At this moment, the wretched middle-aged man opened his mouth and said to Duan Lingtian and the other two. To be more precise, he was speaking to Duan Lingtian and Lu Ji. As for Feng Tianwu, he did not even dare to look at her. It was obvious he still remembered Duan Lingtian's warning. Whoosh! 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 With their speed, the continuous mountain range appeared before their eyes in just a short while. They flew until they were above the mountain range before they came to a halt. Elder Duan, the 10 grade 1 life recovery pills. At this moment, the wretched middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian and hesitated to speak. Humph! As long as you bring me to what I'm looking for, I'll naturally give you the 10 grade 1 life recovery pills. Where's the grass you saw? Lead the way. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly. Thank you, Elder Duan. After obtaining a definite answer from Duan Lingtian, the wretched middle-aged man heaved a sigh of relief and thanked Duan Lingtian happily. This way. Subsequently, he took the lead and led the way to the side of the mountain range. Soon after, they arrived at a narrow and long canyon. The canyon was shrouded in fog, and they could not see the situation inside at first glance. It's right in front. The wretched middle-aged man led the way forward. His footsteps were extremely fast as though he was afraid he would not see the soul-stabilizing grass if he was too late. Although the wretched middle-aged man's footsteps were very fast, however, Duan Lingtian and the other two did not feel the slightest bit of pressure, and they easily followed him. In this canyon, the deeper they went, the thicker the fog was. It was impossible to see the situation in front of them. Duan Lingtian could not help but frown. Whoosh! Soon after, a flash appeared in front of Duan Lingtian's eyes. He realized Lu Ji had arrived in front of him, and was following the wretched middle-aged man closely to lead the way. Elder Duan, follow me closely with Miss Tianwu. As long as you're not more than 10 meters away from me, even if that void stage peak demon attacks you, he won't be able to do anything to you, Lu Ji said to Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu. His tone was filled with confidence in his own strength. Duan Lingtian did not comment on Lu Ji's words. After all, currently, as long as he did not encounter a void stage peak demon who had comprehended 3 types of 9th level void transformation concepts, he would be able to fight and even kill his opponent. Thank you, Elder Ji. Although he did not comment, he still expressed his sincere gratitude to Lu Ji for being so considerate of him. Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu walked side by side and followed closely behind Lu Ji. As for Lu Ji, he followed closely behind the wretched middle-aged man. The 4 of them went into the canyon one by one in order. After an unknown amount of time. Wait a minute. Lu Ji's silhouette disappeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes for the umpteenth time. However, this time, horror dawned on Duan Lingtian's face as he suddenly came to a halt. As Duan Lingtian came to a halt, Feng Tianwu came to a halt as well. Huh? Feng Tianwu looked at Duan Lingtian in confusion. There's an illusory formation that's fused with the concealment formation here, Duan Lingtian said with a grave expression. Elder Ji and that fellow entered the illusory formation when they were unprepared. They're trapped inside. Illusory formation? Feng Tianwu was confused. After losing her memory, she did not even remember what an illusory formation was. Duan Lingtian. While Duan Lingtian was observing his surroundings, a familiar yet unfamiliar cold voice resonated from behind him and entered his ears clearly. Who's there? Although Duan Lingtian felt that the voice was slightly familiar, he could not recall whose voice it was, so he hurriedly turned around. With just a glance he saw two figures. One was a middle-aged man dressed in gray, and the other was an old man with white hair and eyebrows. The gray-clad young man was the one who spoke. Lu Song. Duan Lingtian recognized the gray-clad young man. His face darkened and his eyes gleamed coldly. Xiu. How is it? Are you surprised? The gray-clad young man was the Lu clan's first young master, Lu Song. He was the elder brother of the Lu clan's third young master, Lu Huai, whom Duan Lingtian had killed when he first arrived at the Lu clan. You're the one who set up the illusory formation that's fused with the concealment formation? However, Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Song's mocking question. His gaze landed on the old man next to Lu Song as he asked in a deep voice. He still remembered the old man's surname was Guan. That's right. The old man did not deny Duan Lingtian's question. Instead, he stared at Duan Lingtian with gleaming eyes. However, I didn't expect you to be able to see through the illusory formation I set up. It's fused with the concealment formation. How did you discover it? When the old man reached the end of his sentence, he looked at Duan Lingtian with dread. You're not the only inscription master on Cloud Continent. Chapter 1092. The concealment formation was an inscription formation that could conceal other inscription formations. Only an inscription master whose spiritual energy was at the martial monarch stage or above could inscribe and set it up. If Duan Lingtian was not an inscription master, he would not have noticed the illusory formation that was fused with the concealment formation. It was precisely because he was an inscription master and an outstanding one at that. Therefore, when Lu Ji and the wretched middle-aged man entered the illusory formation and triggered the concealment formation, his extended spiritual energy noticed something was amiss. Due to this reason, he managed to stop in time and did not fall into the illusory formation. You're an inscription master as well? The old man's eyes widened in shock when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. In the past, he had purposely tried to find out more about this purple-clad young man. Therefore, he knew the purple-clad young man had killed an 8th-level void transformation Lu clan's elder, and knew the purple-clad young man was very powerful. Not only was he powerful, but he was also a grade 1 alchemist. He was so monstrous that he could not help but feel shocked. However, based on the purple-clad young man's words, he was an inscription master as well? Moreover, he was an inscription master who could discover the concealment formation. What do you think? Duan Lingtian asked back. Humph. Duan Lingtian, it doesn't matter if you're an inscription master or not. You're destined to die today. Lu Song, who was standing next to the old man, said. His voice was cold and chilling. When Lu Song spoke, his eyes were filled with hatred and killing intent as he looked at Duan Lingtian. He wished he could cut Duan Lingtian into 1,000 pieces and tear him into 1,000 pieces. Lu Song. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as he looked at Lu Song. I'm curious. How did you know I'd come here? Moreover, you've set up an illusory formation beforehand. I think I have good eyesight. That guy is definitely not one of you. Duan Lingtian glanced at the old man next to Lu Song when he reached this part of his sentence. The illusory array was set up by the old man. That illusory array was an illusory array that was fused with a concealment array. It was extremely troublesome to set up, and it would take at least a few hours to complete. The guy that Duan Lingtian mentioned was naturally the wretched middle-aged man who had brought him here. First of all, Duan Lingtian was certain that wretched middle-aged man was not one of Lu Song's men. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to not notice anything amiss. It was because of this that he found it strange. If that wretched middle-aged man was not Lu Song's man, how could Lu Song and the old man beside him arrive here before him? In fact, they had even arrived earlier than them. This could be seen from the illusory formation they had set up. That idiot? Naturally, he is not one of us. Lu Song glared at Duan Lingtian with killing intent on his face. He smirked and said, He's just a chess piece that I'm using. Also, don't tell me you really think that there's an herb here that you want? Duan Lingtian could not help but frown when he heard Lu Song's words. What do you mean by that? Duan Lingtian had a vague feeling that something was amiss. Elder Guan, you can tell him. Let him die knowing the truth. However, we must hurry up so that Lu Ji won't break out of the formation. At that time it'll be difficult for us to kill him. Lu Song said slowly to the old man beside him. He looked at Duan Lingtian as though he was looking at a dead man. Duan Lingtian, you killed my brother. Today will be the day you die. I'll let you die in regret and despair. The killing intent in Lu Song's eyes intensified as he muttered to himself. Yes, young master, the old man replied respectfully. At the same time he looked at Duan Lingtian and said coldly, Duan Lingtian, as an inscription master, don't tell me you still haven't figured it out? There's nothing here that you want. The old man enunciated each word clearly. His voice was like a giant hammer that fell on Duan Lingtian's chest, causing Duan Lingtian's expression to turn extremely grave. There's no soul anchoring grass? Duan Lingtian took a deep breath. At this moment, he who was originally unaware of the situation had a clear train of thought, and the thoughts in his mind abruptly changed. After a while, he seemed to have recalled something and his eyes widened. Both of you, have you planned this from the beginning? Duan Lingtian asked in a deep voice as he looked at Lu Song and the old man. It was obvious that he had figured out something. Looks like you're not that stupid after all. Lu Song sneered. That fellow didn't see the soul anchoring grass at all. He didn't encounter the demon beast at the peak of the void that was guarding the soul anchoring grass. Everything he saw was a fake image in the illusory formation you set up, right? Duan Lingtian asked in a deep voice as he stared at the old man. That's right. The old man said expressionlessly. If he really encountered a demon beast at the peak of the void, do you think that piece of trash would be able to escape? The piece of trash the old man was referring to was the wretched middle-aged man who brought Duan Lingtian here. As expected, Duan Lingtian's face turned grave, and he could not help but laugh at himself. To think that he had thought that he was extremely lucky. First, he obtained the soul-fixing root that Tianwu needed. Then, he received news about the soul-stabilizing grass. As it turned out, there was no soul-anchoring grass at all. The soul-anchoring grass that the wretched middle-aged man saw was just a fake image in the illusory formation set up by the old man next to Lu Song. Even the demon beast at the peak of the void was fake. All of this was just Lu Song's scheme against him. Naturally, he could guess Lu Song's motive. It was to avenge Lu Huai. Lu Huai was Lu Song's younger brother. Although Lu Song did not show any hatred on his face when he saw him the last time, his spiritual energy could still detect the hatred that Lu Song deliberately concealed. The deeper the hatred was hidden, the more terrifying it would be when it was revealed. Today's incident had undoubtedly proven this point. Initially, everything was going according to plan. However, to our surprise, you didn't enter the illusory formation, the old man continued. He was surprised. Initially, he and his young master planned to let Duan Lingtian enter the illusory formation before they killed Duan Lingtian. However, they did not expect Duan Lingtian to discover the illusory formation. It doesn't matter if he enters the illusory formation or not. The illusory formation wasn't prepared for him in the first place. Now that Lu Ji has entered the illusory formation that we prepared for him, he won't be able to come out anytime soon. At this moment Lu Song opened his mouth. His voice was even colder than before. His eyes were filled with hatred. They gleamed coldly as they did not leave Duan Lingtian's side. Lu Ji, the Lu clan's guardian elder, was a martial monarch powerhouse. Although the old man next to him was also a martial monarch powerhouse, he did not have much confidence in defeating Lu Ji. However, now that Lu Ji was trapped in the illusory formation, he could no longer protect Duan Lingtian. In his opinion, Duan Lingtian was already a fish on his chopping board. He could do whatever he wanted to him. Duan Lingtian, now do you regret killing my brother Lu Huai? Lu Song asked coldly as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Without waiting for Duan Lingtian's reply, he continued to say, it's useless no matter how much you regret it. Today, I'll let you die in a way that's worse than death, to comfort my brother's soul in heaven. When Lu Song reached the end of his sentence, His voice became colder and colder. Regret? Faced with Lu Song, who was blinded by hatred, Duan Lingtian's expression remained calm as he said nonchalantly, I'm sorry. Perhaps I might regret other things. However, I've never regretted killing your brother Lu Huai. Even now, Duan Lingtian's words were like a slap to Lu Song's face. You're seeking death. Lu Song's eyes narrowed as he glared at Duan Lingtian. His voice was filled with killing intent. What? Are you going to attack me? Duan Lingtian smiled as he looked at Lu Song, who was glaring at him coldly. He looked at Lu Song with interest. When Lu Song heard this, his face darkened. He said coldly, of course I'll attack you. But not now. Huh. Duan Lingtian was stunned. He did not know what Lu Song meant. Soon after, he knew why Lu Song said that. Elder Guan, destroy his Dantian, but don't kill him. I want to torture him slowly and let him die in despair. Lu Song looked at the old man next to him and said through gritted teeth, Yes, young master. The old man responded and glared at Duan Lingtian fiercely. The origin energy on his body rose up. It was so powerful that it set off waves of terrifying airwaves that caused the wind to howl. For a moment, the flowers and plants in the canyon were blown away. Whoosh! At the same time, the heaven and earth energy stirred above the old man's head and gathered into the heaven and earth phenomenon. 2,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons descended in a meandering manner. Just the origin energy alone was equivalent to the strength of 2,000 ancient horned dragons. This was the sign of a first-level martial monarch stage powerhouse. However, this was not the end yet. Boom! The milky white flames on the old man's body suddenly changed color and turned into a fiery red. It soared into the sky, causing the white fog in the canyon to turn red as well. Whoosh! Another 2,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons appeared in the sky. First-level monarch stage fire profundity. At the same time, bolts of purple lightning that resembled electric snakes appeared in the flames around the old man's body. There were also gusts of green wind. Another 2,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons appeared. 9th level advanced thunder concept. 9th level advanced wind concept. Duan Lingtian, you didn't expect this, did you? Elder Guan is a powerful martial monarch powerhouse. It's easy for him to kill you. Lu Song laughed arrogantly. At the same time, he looked at Duan Lingtian. In his opinion, Duan Lingtian must be in shock and despair right now. However, when he saw Duan Lingtian's calm face, his arrogant laughter stopped abruptly. There was a hint of anger in his eyes, and his face turned pale. Elder Guan, do it! Lu Song bellowed in anger and humiliation. Boom! As Lu Song shouted, an explosion sounded in the air. Waves of scorching aura spread out in all directions. Chapter 1093. The old man next to Lu Song was so fast that Duan Lingtian could not react in time at all. In the blink of an eye, the world in front of Duan Lingtian turned fiery red. It was as though he was in an ocean of fire. The scorching aura that spread from the ground made his forehead and face covered in sweat. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, Duan Lingtian noticed the fiery red ocean in front of him suddenly trembled. Then it moved away from him like an arrow that was released from a bow. It kept shrinking before his eyes. In the end, the fiery red ocean transformed into a person. It was an old man. An old man who was covered in flames from head to toe. However, the flames on the old man's body seemed to have withered and could not continue. Barf! At that moment, the old man whose face had turned extremely pale suddenly spasmed a few times before he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood splattered all over the ground like dazzling red roses. You! The old man stood in the distance. His eyes were fixed on Duan Lingtian. To be more precise, he was looking at the lady in red who was standing next to Duan Lingtian. From the beginning until now, the lady in red had been standing next to Duan Lingtian quietly. She did not seem to exist. Whether it was the old man or Lu Song, they had taken her seriously since the beginning. This was because she was just too young. She was so young that they did not feel threatened by her. However, at that moment, all of their eyes were fixed on the lady in red without exception. Subsequently, they seemed to have noticed something and lifted their heads abruptly. The heaven and earth energy that had been stirring above the lady in red's head finally transformed into the heaven and earth phenomenon. Silhouettes of ancient horned dragons rapidly formed. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. It was still increasing. In the end, the number of silhouettes of ancient horned dragons stopped at 8,000. The strength of 8,000 ancient horned dragons. Fire profundity. Sword profundity. Looking at the rising sword-shaped flames on the lady in red, the old man exclaimed in shock. There was a hint of fear in his eyes. Demon? Demon Lord? After a while, the old man took a deep breath and stared at the lady in red with fear in his eyes as he probed. In the old man's opinion, the beautiful woman in red looked to be in her early 20s. He had comprehended 2 monarch stage profundities at such a young age. The red-clad woman was clearly a monarch stage powerhouse like him. It was impossible for a human martial artist to become a monarch stage powerhouse at such a young age. Therefore, the red-clothed woman could only be a demon monarch powerhouse. The demon monarch, the monarch of the demon monarchs, was equally famous as the martial monarch of the human martial artists. You want to kill him? The red-clothed woman ignored the old man's question. Instead, she asked this question in a cold tone. If one looked closely, they would discover that the woman in red's beautiful face, which was originally covered with a layer of frost, had an additional layer of frost in an instant. The red-clothed woman stood there, her entire body enveloped by a scorching sword-shaped flame. However, the old man that she was staring at did not feel any heat. He only felt waves of bone-piercing cold air coming from all directions, causing him to feel an extreme chill that originated from his bones. The old man didn't answer the woman in red's question, but there was a hint of fear in his eyes. Those who want to kill him will have to die. The red-clothed woman's alluring red lips moved slightly as she spoke slowly. As soon as the word die left her mouth, she had already disappeared from Lu Song's sight. Watch out, Elder Guan! Horror dawned on Lu Song's face as he cried out in panic. However, just as he reacted and looked at the old man, he saw the old man's body tremble before he collapsed. He was no longer breathing. The old man's eyes were wide open. He died with a grievance. Until his death, he still could not figure out why there was a demon monarch powerhouse by Duan Lingtian's side. The red-clothed woman stood in front of the old man's body. Her red dress fluttered in the wind like a burning flame. Elder Guan, Lu Song muttered to himself in a daze as he shifted his gaze from the old man's body to the red-clothed woman. His face turned extremely pale. If he had known that there was such a powerhouse by Duan Lingtian's side apart from Lu Ji, he would not have dared to do anything to Duan Lingtian, even if Duan Lingtian had killed his own brother. Thud! Under Duan Lingtian's shocked gaze, Lu Song kneeled on the ground and kowtowed to the red-clothed woman in the distance. Senior, please spare my life. Senior, please spare my life. I won't kill you. The red-clothed woman glanced at Lu Song, who was kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy indifferently, and said coldly, Thank you, Senior. Thank you, Senior. Lu Song hurriedly thanked her and kowtowed even louder. Soon his head was bleeding. Whoosh! The red-clothed woman moved like a fire elf and returned to Duan Lingtian's side in just a moment. She said softly, I don't want to dirty my hands by killing him. Leave it to me. Duan Lingtian said with a smile. The red-clothed woman was none other than Feng Tianwu, who had lost her memory. Duan Lingtian only found out yesterday. After losing her memory, Feng Tianwu could completely control the energy in her body. Currently, she was a first-level void transformation martial artist who had mastered 2 third-level monarch stage profundities. Without using her origin energy, she could unleash an attack that was equivalent to the strength of 8,000 ancient horned dragons, with just her profundities alone. It was precisely because of this that Duan Lingtian was fearless. He knew that as long as Tianwu was there, nothing would happen to him. In the end, Tianwu did not disappoint him. She killed the martial monarch powerhouse next to Lu Song in just a blink of an eye. Her movements were smooth and clean. Those who want to kill him will have to die. The words that Feng Tianwu said to the martial monarch powerhouse next to Lu Song still echoed in Duan Lingtian's ears. Her tone was indifferent, but there was a hint of anger in it. At that moment, Duan Lingtian's heart was filled with warmth. He knew that although Tianwu could not remember the past, She had already acknowledged him as a person from the bottom of her heart. This could be seen from the fact that she was angry because of him. Whoosh! At that moment, the sound of wind whistling could be heard. It was getting further and further away. Before Duan Lingtian could make his move, Lu Song had already made his move and dashed out of the canyon in an attempt to escape. What a joke! Duan Lingtian had once killed an 8th level void transformation Lu clan's elder. Would it not be a piece of cake for him to kill a 5th level void transformation martial artist? Escape? Do you think you can escape? However, when Lu Song had fled several dozen meters away, he suddenly heard a mocking voice in front of him. When he raised his head and looked in the direction of the voice, he saw a familiar figure waiting there. A purple-clad young man appeared before his eyes. How can you be so fast? Lu Song's eyes narrowed. As he came to a halt, he asked in horror, You're a powerhouse at the peak of the void? Looks like you're not stupid after all. Duan Lingtian looked at Lu Song in surprise. His current strength was indeed on par with a powerhouse at the peak of the void. Thud! When Lu Song realized it was impossible for him to escape from Duan Lingtian, he knelt on the ground again and kowtowed to beg for mercy. However, the person he was kowtowing to this time was someone else. It was Duan Lingtian. Elder Duan, please spare my life. Elder Duan, please spare my life. As long as Elder Duan spares my worthless life, I promise I won't return to the Lu clan and fight with Lu Bai for the clan leader's position. Elder Duan, please spare my life. Please spare my life. Lu Song kept kowtowing as he begged for mercy hysterically. At this moment, he no longer looked like the great young master of the northern mountain lands Lu clan's lineal descendant. He looked more like a pitiful wretch with no dignity at all. How can a coward like you deserve to be the clan leader of Lu clan? Duan Lingtian glanced at Lu Song with disgust. He did not want to waste any more time on him. With a lift of his hand, he slammed his palm down and ended Lu Song's life. If Lu Song had given up his hatred for Duan Lingtian from the beginning, perhaps he could still be the Lu clan's great young master. However, he chose to seek revenge on Duan Lingtian and brought about his own destruction in the end. Where should I go now? At this moment, a familiar voice resonated in Duan Lingtian's ears. Elder Ji? When he looked into the distance, he saw Lu Ji had broken out of the illusory formation. Although he was not surprised by this, he was still shocked. Based on his observation of the illusory formation with his spiritual energy, it would take an ordinary martial monarch at least half an hour to break out of it. However, Lu Ji only spent a quarter of an hour to come out. Elder Duan? When Lu Ji heard Duan Lingtian's voice, he could not help but sigh in relief. I'm finally out. 15 minutes ago, when he turned around and saw Duan Lingtian and Feng Qianwu were nowhere to be seen, and when he saw the wretched middle-aged man walking in front of him was nowhere to be seen, he realized he might have fallen into the illusory formation. Subsequently, he began to look for a way out of the illusory formation. Finally, he left the illusory formation 15 minutes later. Soon after, Lu Ji's eyes narrowed slightly. At this moment, his gaze landed on the old body on the ground. The familiar face made him frown. Isn't this Guanli? As one of the Lu clan's 3 great guardian elders, Lu Ji recognized most of the Lu clan's elders. Guanli was one of them. Guanli was the Lu clan's foreign elder, who followed the Lu clan's great young master. All of a sudden, Lu Ji seemed to have noticed something. He lifted his head slightly and looked in the distance. Lu Song. With just a glance, he recognized the owner of the body that was dozens of meters away. His eyes narrowed slightly. Elder Duan, this is, after taking a deep breath, Lu Ji looked at Duan Lingtian with a puzzled expression on his face. Elder Ji, don't you think it's strange that they're here? Duan Lingtian asked with a faint smile in the face of Lu Ji, who was looking at him with a puzzled expression. It's a little strange. Lu Ji nodded. Actually, there's nothing here that I'm looking for. Duan Lingtian sighed as he spoke of the entire sequence of events without leaving out anything. What? Chapter 1094. Lu Ji took a deep breath to calm himself down. His gaze turned colder as he looked at the 2 bodies on the ground. Earlier, I've advised Lu Song to forget about the enmity between him and you, Elder Duan. He also promised me that he wouldn't seek revenge from you, Elder Duan. When Lu Ji reached this point, he paused for a moment before continuing. However, I didn't expect him to say one thing and do another. He actually came up with such a plan to lure you into his trap, Elder Duan. A hint of anger appeared on Lu Ji's face when he reached the end of his sentence. He was angry that Lu Song had lied to him. He did not doubt Duan Lingtian's words at all. Put aside the fact that Duan Lingtian had no reason to lie. The fact that Lu Song and the old man next to him were here explained many things. However, where did they find a martial monarch stage inscription master to set up this illusory formation that could confuse me? Soon after, Lu Ji frowned. His face was filled with confusion. The illusory formation that could trap him was undoubtedly set up by a martial monarch stage inscription master. He was certain of this. Naturally, the reason Lu Ji asked such a question was because when Duan Lingtian told him about the ins and outs of the matter, he did not mention that the illusory formation was set up by the old man next to Lu Ji. Therefore, in Lu Ji's opinion, the old man was only a martial artist at the peak of the void. When Lu Ji was thinking about this, Duan Lingtian walked up to the old man's body. Whoosh! Without warning, Duan Lingtian raised his hand and consolidated origin energy into a sword. It whistled as it slashed toward the old man. The sound of the sword whistling in the air attracted Lu Ji's attention. Subsequently, Lu Ji saw Duan Lingtian's sword landing on the old man's body. Moreover, he took out 3 fragments from the old man's body. They were the fragments that were nurtured in the old man's body. Initially, he merely glanced at the 3 fragments in Duan Lingtian's hand. He did not notice anything special. However, when he took a closer look, his eyes were completely focused on one of the 3 fragments in Duan Lingtian's hand. The fragment was surrounded by a burning red flame. Profundity fragment? After being stunned for a moment, Lu Ji came back to his senses and couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice. At this moment, Duan Lingtian had already put away the first-level Monarch Stage Fire Profundity Fragment and the 2 ninth-level Concept Fragments in his hand. A faint smile appeared on his face. To him, the harvest this time was not bad. He had obtained a Profundity Fragment. 1 Profundity Fragment was enough to represent a martial monarch powerhouse. Although it was only a first-level Monarch Stage Profundity Fragment, as long as it was given to a 9th-level Void Transformation martial artist who had comprehended the 9th-level Advanced Fire concept, he would definitely be able to comprehend the fire profundity and break through to become a martial monarch powerhouse. This Guanli. When did he break through to the martial monarch stage? When Duan Lingtian put away the 3 fragments in his hand, Lu Ji came back to his senses. His gaze fell on the old man's corpse immediately, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. It was obvious Lu Ji did not know the old man next to Lu Song was a martial monarch powerhouse. At this moment, he could not help but sigh inwardly. What a pity, a martial emperor died just like that. In his opinion, as long as Guanli was still alive, he would most likely become the 4th guardian elder in the Lu clan. At that time, the Lu clan's overall strength would rise to a whole new level. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Lu Ji seemed to have recalled something, and his eyes narrowed immediately. He remembered something of utmost importance. Since Guanli was already a martial monarch powerhouse, the person who killed him was undoubtedly a martial monarch powerhouse as well. Moreover, the person must be a martial monarch powerhouse who was more powerful than Guanli. Otherwise, how could he have killed Guanli? Elder Duan. Who killed Guanli? Lu Ji asked as he looked at Duan Lingtian after taking a deep breath. What do you think? Duan Lingtian replied nonchalantly as though he had expected Lu Ji to ask this question. Lu Ji was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's reply. He studied Duan Lingtian from head to toe for a while before finally looking at the red-clad lady standing at the side. It was Feng Tianwu. It's impossible for this lady. She had to rely on Elder Duan's origin energy to carry her through the air when we came here. Lu Ji glanced at Feng Tianwu before he looked at Duan Lingtian again. If that's the case, the person who killed Guanli is either Elder Duan himself or a powerhouse hiding behind Elder Duan to protect him at all times. Lu Ji speculated inwardly. He was more inclined to believe the latter was the case. It was not only because Duan Lingtian was too young, but it was also because Duan Lingtian was an outstanding grade 1 alchemist. It would be ridiculous if such a young grade 1 alchemist was also a martial monarch powerhouse at the same time. Due to this reason, he did not believe Duan Lingtian was a martial monarch powerhouse. Since we don't have what you want, Elder Duan, let's go back. When Lu Ji looked at Duan Lingtian again, a hint of dread could be seen in his eyes. His tone that was already polite became even more polite. From the wounds on Guan Li's body, he could tell that Guan Li was killed with a single blow. Although he did not know Guan Li's exact cultivation base, if it were him, it would be impossible for him to kill Guan Li with a single blow even if Guan Li was only a first-level martial monarch martial artist. Due to this reason, he guessed the powerhouse hiding in the dark to protect Duan Lingtian was much more powerful than him. Due to this reason, his attitude toward Duan Lingtian had changed drastically. Alright. Duan Lingtian did not reject Lu Ji's suggestion. After calling out to Feng Tianwu, he left with Guan Li. After the three of them left, they went straight to the Lu clan's estate. Another day and night had passed, and they successfully returned to the Lu clan. Smack! A loud noise reverberated in the Lu clan's main hall. The clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, had raised his hand and slapped the new chair next to him, shattering it into pieces. Lu Song, you've really eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Lu Rui suddenly shouted. His tone was filled with rage. It was obvious he knew what Lu Song had done. After a while, Lu Rui took a deep breath and looked at the purple-clad young man with an apologetic expression. Elder Duan, it's our Lu clan's fault for not being considerate enough. I hope you don't blame us. The purple-clad young man was none other than Duan Lingtian, who had rushed back. Since Lu Song is dead, let's put this matter behind us, Duan Lingtian said nonchalantly. He had no intention of pursuing the matter. Yes, Lu Rui replied respectfully. Huh. The old man standing next to the purple-clad young man, Lu Ji, suddenly frowned. He was the Lu clan's guardian elder. He had a feeling that there was a hint of fear in the clan leader's eyes when he looked at the young elder Duan earlier. It was as though he was afraid of something. Could it be that the clan leader knows there's a powerhouse hiding behind Elder Duan? Moreover, even the clan leader is afraid of that powerhouse? Lu Ji speculated inwardly. Elder Duan, it's quite a coincidence. On the day you left, two people came one after another. Each of them took a void transformation martial artist spirit fruit in exchange for the grade 1 life recovery pill that you refined. At this moment, Lu Rui changed the topic and told Duan Lingtian about another reward. Two people. 2 spirit fruits? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. He did not expect Lu Ji to give him such a big surprise as soon as he returned. I hope I haven't consumed those 2 spirit fruits. If that's the case, my cultivation base will be able to break through to the 9th level void transformation in a short period of time. Duan Lingtian's heart raced. His body began to tremble uncontrollably due to his excitement. Soon after, Duan Lingtian suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked curiously, Clan leader, how many grade 1 life recovery pills did you exchange for the spirit fruits? 1 grade 1 life recovery pill in exchange for 1 spirit fruit. Lu Rui replied truthfully. 1. Duan Lingtian could not help but be stunned when he heard that. Only 1. Did anyone exchange for it? In his opinion, the value of a void transformation martial artist spirit fruit was far from what a grade 1 life recovery pill could compare to. Naturally, nobody would exchange for an ordinary grade 1 life recovery pill. However, if you exchanged it with a grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of more than 90% that you refined, Elder Duan, they would benefit from it. Lu Rui shook his head and said, putting aside the fact that the value of a grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of more than 90%, it's not only in its medicinal efficacy. Just its medicinal efficacy alone is enough to make people scramble for it. In terms of medicinal efficacy and efficacy, a grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of more than 90% is 5 times more powerful than an ordinary grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of less than 70%. At a critical moment, a grade 1 life recovery pill like this can even save a life. Lu Rui was excited when he reached the end of his sentence. Duan Lingtian finally understood what he meant. After a while, Duan Lingtian, who was eager to return to his room to cultivate and improve his cultivation base, took the 2 spirit fruits from Lu Ruwei and brought Feng Tianwu back to his residence. Tianwu, take this red phosphorus fruit and use it to cultivate. Duan Lingtian handed the spirit fruit that seemed to be burning with a red phosphorus fire to Feng Tianwu and said bluntly, "Take it." Feng Tianwu was a woman of few words, but she was very direct. "I've already consumed a red phosphorus fruit before, so it's useless for me to consume it again. Take it." Seeing that Feng Tianwu was unwilling to accept it, Duan Lingtian took out his trump card. Naturally, he was telling the truth. He had just obtained 2 spirit fruits from Lu Ruwei. One of the red phosphorus fruit was the spirit fruit that he had consumed some time ago. It was also given to him by Lu Ruwei. His current cultivation base was elevated because he had consumed the red phosphorus fruit. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Feng Tianwu finally put the red phosphorus fruit away. "Thank you." Feng Tianwu moved her red lips slightly and thanked Duan Lingtian directly. "There's no need for thanks between us." After glancing at Feng Tianwu gently, Duan Lingtian bade her farewell and returned to his room to cultivate. After Duan Lingtian returned to his room, Feng Tianwu returned to her room as well. Duan Lingtian was unaware of this. Chapter 1095. The Cloud Continent was divided into the inner land and the outer land with the Ruoshui River as the boundary. The outer land was divided into the northern outer land, the southern outer land, the western outer land, and the eastern outer land. The northern mountain land was an area close to the Ruoshui River, to the north of the southern outer land. To the left and right of the northern mountain land, there were 2 other areas that belonged to the southern outer land that were close to the Ruoshui River. The land of Beiki was located to the east of the northern mountain land. Although it was not as famous as the northern mountain land, it was still a place full of outstanding people. The reason why the northern mountains region was so famous was naturally because of the O clan and the Lu clan. The 2 families were ancient families that had been passed down for 10,000 years. They were also the 2 forces with the longest history in the entire southern outer land. No, there was no third force in the entire outer land that had been passed down for 10,000 years like the O family and the Lu family. On the Cloud Continent, there might be forces that had been passed down for 10,000 years like the O family and the Lu family. However, all of them were located in the inner land on the other side of the Ruoshui River. In the outer land, only the O family and the Lu family had been passed down for 10,000 years. Due to this reason, even in the entire southern outer continent, the northern mountain land was a well-known place. At the border between the land of Beiki and the northern mountain land, there was a vast city. The city was bustling with people going in and out of the city. This city was called Alchemist City. In the center of Medicine Master City stood a tall tower. It was the city's landmark. Outside the tower, there were 5 square plaques hanging from the top to the bottom. Each plaque had a single word written on it. From top to bottom, it read Alchemist Guild. The people going in and out of the tower were like the people going in and out of Medicine Master City. If one looked closely, they would notice that most of the people going in and out of the tower had a badge pinned on their chest. It was the badge of an alchemist. Looking at the badge pinned on their chest, one could tell what grade of alchemist they were. The tower that stood in the center of Medicine Master City was the headquarters of the Southern Outer Lands Alchemist Guild. It was in charge of the Alchemist Guild in the entire Southern Outer Land. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure that was as fast as lightning flew from the horizon and reached the top of the tower in the blink of an eye. However, when this person reached the top of the tower, he stopped in midair. "I'm here to see the president. I have something to report." This was an old man in green. His eyes fell on the middle-aged man in green who was blocking his way, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. It was as if this green-clothed middle-aged man was some kind of scourge. The green-robed middle-aged man stood there, neither happy nor angry. His entire being seemed to have merged with the heavens and earth, giving the green-robed old man a great deal of pressure. Unknowingly, cold sweat appeared on the green-robed old man's forehead and dripped down. "Let him in." At this moment, an aged voice came from the top of the tower. Although the voice was aged, it was extremely powerful. "Yes." Hearing the voice, The green-clothed middle-aged man who had been silent all this time responded respectfully. Almost as soon as the green-robed man finished speaking, he disappeared into thin air as if he had never appeared. As expected of the people sent by the Inland's Alchemist Guild, they are indeed powerful. In the southern outer continent, those that can defeat him are probably existences that are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. After taking a deep breath, the green-robed old man muttered in a low voice. After a short moment, he returned to his senses and flew to the top of the tower, arriving at a spacious room. At the side of the room, an old man in a silver robe sat at the table, quietly savoring the fragrant tea in the teacup in his hand. Even when the green-robed old man entered, it did not make him shift his gaze. President. The green-robed old man bowed respectfully to the silver-robed old man. Why didn't you stay in the northern mountain land? Why did you come to Alchemist City? The silver-robed old man did not look at the green-robed old man and continued to savor the fragrant tea as he asked. President, I came to Alchemist City to look for you this time precisely because of this. With a raise of his hand, an exquisite little box appeared in the green-robed old man's hand. The box was completely made of jasper, and it looked to be of high quality. Unfortunately, the silver-robed old man still did not turn his head. He sat there and said indifferently, You should know that ordinary things can't enter my Chong-hee's eyes. The silver-robed old man's calm tone was mixed with a sense of pride that came from his bones. The green-robed old man was not surprised when he heard the silver-robed old man's words. The silver-robed old man before him was the president of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land. What had he not seen on a daily basis? It was true that ordinary things could not enter his eyes. However, the green-robed old man looked at the exquisite jade box in his hand. His face was filled with confidence as he continued to say, President, I think this thing will definitely enter your eyes. The moment the green-robed old man's words left his mouth, Chong-hee finally turned his head and looked at the green-robed old man. Now that you mention it, I'm a little curious. Hand it over. Chong-hee knew the green-robed old man before him very well. This was the person who used to follow him. Currently, he was the president of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the northern mountain land. At the same time, he was also an outstanding grade 2 alchemist. It was precisely because of this that he knew the green-robed old man would not speak without thinking. Yes, the green-robed old man replied respectfully. He took a few steps forward and placed the exquisite jade box in his hand on the table in front of Chong-hee. Chong-hee swiftly opened the jade box. A pill that was extremely familiar to him appeared before his eyes. He could not help but frown when he saw it. What you wanted me to see is this. Chong-hee's expression darkened when he thought the green-robed old man had tricked him. However, before he could finish his sentence, his eyes widened in shock. How's this possible? At this moment, Chong-hee suddenly stood up and stared at the pill in the exquisite jade box on the table. He could not take his eyes off it. He did not know when, but his body began to tremble violently due to excitement. Miracle! Miracle! After a long while, Chong-hee took a deep breath and picked up the pill in the exquisite jade box with trembling hands. His movements were gentle as though he was caressing his lover. The purity is 91%. Gradually, Chong-hee finally suppressed his excitement and calmed down. However, his eyes never left the pill in his hand. As a grade 1 alchemist, it was only natural that he could tell. The grade 1 life recovery pill in his hand had a purity of 91% that could be said to be heaven-defying. He had only heard of pills with such purity, but he had never seen one before. There's a legend in our Alchemist Guild. 10,000 years ago, there was a powerful powerhouse called Emperor Wu, who could refine pills with a purity of more than 90%. However, that's only a legend. It's been 10,000 years, so there's no way to tell if it's true or not. At this moment, Chong-hee's thoughts were running wild, and he could not calm down for a long time. Where did you get this grade 1 life recovery pill from? Chong-hee exhaled and returned to his senses. The first thing he did was to look at the green-robed old man standing quietly at the side and ask with a burning gaze. Lord Guild Master, my direct disciple obtained this from the Liu clan. The green-robed old man seemed to be prepared for this. As soon as Chang He finished speaking, he immediately replied. Lu clan? Chang He frowned when he heard the green-robed old man's words. I'm the one who helped the Lu clan refine the grade 1 pills. The purity of the grade 1 life recovery pill that I refined was 70% at most. However, the purity of this grade 1 life recovery pill is more than 90%. Chang He looked at the pill in his hand when he reached the end of his sentence. He was certain. He was definitely not the one who refined this pill. Lord Guildmaster, there's something you don't know. Some time ago, a person with the surname Duan joined the Lu clan and became the Lu clan's first interim advisor. That person with the surname Duan is a grade 1 alchemist. The green-robed old man explained. He's the second grade 1 alchemist in the southern outer land after you, Lord Guildmaster. Grade 1 alchemist? Chang He narrowed his eyes when he heard the green-robed old man's words. He joined the Lu clan? Yes. The green-robed old man nodded. You mean this grade 1 life recovery pill was refined by that alchemist with the surname Duan? Chang He asked. It's most likely refined by him, the green-robed old man said. The green-clad old man continued. Some time ago, the Lu clan issued a reward for a spirit fruit consumed by a void transformation stage martial artist. 1 spirit fruit in exchange for 1 grade 1 life recovery pill. Initially, everyone thought the Lu clan was stingy. However, when they heard the Lu clan offered a grade 1 life recovery pill with a purity of more than 90%, everyone went crazy. When my direct disciple heard about this, he happened to have a spirit fruit consumed by a void transformation stage martial artist. In order to verify the authenticity of this matter, he brought the spirit fruit to the Lu clan to make the exchange. At that time, there was another person who arrived at the Lu clan with him. According to him, whether it was the grade 1 life recovery pill that the Lu clan gave him or the other person, both of them had a purity of more than 90%. When the green-robed old man reached this point, he paused for a moment before he continued to say, when my direct disciple obtained the grade 1 life recovery pill, he immediately passed it to me. When I found out that this matter was unusual, I immediately came to look for you, Lord Guildmaster. The green-robed old man finished speaking in one breath. You've done well. Chang He nodded at the green-robed old man in satisfaction. His eyes gleamed. It seems like I'll have to make a trip to the Lu clan to pay a visit to that alchemist with the surname Duan. Lord Guildmaster, there's one more thing. Suddenly, the green-robed old man seemed to have recalled something. Huh? Chang He looked at the green-robed old man with a hint of confusion in his eyes. The alchemist with the surname Duan from the Lu clan. I heard he's a young man who's not even 30 years old yet. Chapter 1096. What? Chang He's eyes widened when he heard the green-clad old man's words. His calm face was filled with shock. A grade 1 alchemist who's not even 30 years old? Are you sure? Chang He's gaze was as sharp as a sword when he looked at the green-clad old man. I'm sure. The green-clad old man nodded. Many alchemists saw him when they participated in the alchemist competition organized by the Lu clan. He revealed his grade 1 pill fire and his identity as a grade 1 alchemist at that time and joined the Lu clan. The young old man said confidently, he's not even 30 years old. A grade 1 alchemist. Chang He narrowed his eyes. Since he's a grade 1 alchemist, it's impossible for him to be a demon. However, if he's a human, how could he become a grade 1 alchemist at such a young age? Moreover, he can refine grade 1 pills with a purity of more than 90%. The more Chang He thought about it, the more he felt something was amiss. In his opinion, it was already shocking for a human who was not even 30 years old to become a grade 1 alchemist. However, such a grade 1 alchemist could refine grade 1 pills with a purity of more than 90%. It was unbelievable. Even the best alchemist on Cloud Continent, the guild master of the Alchemist Guild's main guild, can only refine grade 1 pills with a purity of 80% at most. It also depends on luck. The guild master became a grade 1 alchemist before he was 40 years old. He's widely acknowledged as a top genius among alchemists. However, he could only refine grade 1 pills with a purity of 80% after he was 100 years old. Even if the alchemist who joined the Lu clan is more talented than the guild master and became a grade 1 alchemist before he was 30 years old, it's still impossible for him to refine pills with a purity of more than 90%. Chung He thought about many things in just a short while. In the end he came to a conclusion. He must have a special refining technique. Even if it's not a refining technique, he must be hiding a great secret. Otherwise it's impossible for a kid like him to refine pills with such a high purity. At some point in time, Chang He's eyes were filled with greed. You can go back first. Soon after, Chang He's expression returned to normal as he spoke to the green-robed old man. Yes, the green-robed old man didn't dare to tarry and left. After the green-clad old man left, Chang He looked at the grade 1 life recovery pill in his hand again. Greed flashed in his eyes again. A moment later, Chang He flew out of the top floor of the tower. Follow me to the northern mountains Lu clan. Then Chang He said to the air. Whoosh! Almost as soon as Chang He finished speaking, the airflow in the air moved, and a green figure appeared out of thin air. It was the green-clothed middle-aged man who had stopped the green-clothed old man. Go! Chang He took the lead and flew out, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. The green-robed middle-aged man moved as well. He caught up with Chang He in a moment and followed behind him like a shadow. Northern Mountains Lu family. In a spacious side hall there was a high platform. On the high platform, a purple-clothed youth and a middle-aged man sat cross-legged. The middle-aged man closed his eyes tightly. The purple-clothed youth looked at the other middle-aged man in front of the high platform and nodded. Master, let's begin. All right. The middle-aged man nodded. With a lift of his hand, a mist rose around the high platform and shrouded the purple-clothed youth and the middle-aged man in just a blink of an eye. If there was an inscription master here, he would be able to see that the mist that rose and shrouded the entire high platform was the profound assimilation formation. The profound assimilation formation was an inscription formation that could refine concept fragments without restraint and merge them into concept energy. It would then help one to elevate one's concept quickly. Every time the profound assimilation formation was activated, it would consume a ridiculous amount of concept fragments. If one did not have a certain level of strength, they would not be able to afford such a consumption at all. Whoosh! 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 When the mist rose, the middle-aged man standing outside raised his hand again. Concept fragments shot out from his hand and merged into the profound assimilation formation in just a second. If one looked closely, one would notice that there were only 4 types of concept fragments that the middle-aged man threw out. The wind concept fragment that was flashing with green energy, the earth concept fragment that was emitting an earthy yellow halo, the thunder concept fragment that was pulsating with purple energy, and the sword concept fragment that was resisting the sword-shaped energy. Whoosh! 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 The concept fragments shot out from the middle-aged man's hand like he was throwing out trash. In just a blink of an eye, he had thrown thousands of concept fragments into the formation. From the beginning until the end, the middle-aged man had a calm expression on his face as though he did not feel any heartache at all. Is it worth it? Just when the middle-aged man had thrown almost 2,000 concept fragments into the formation, an old voice resonated in the air. At the same time, a skinny old man with white hair appeared next to the middle-aged man. The skinny old man wore a loose robe. He had white eyebrows and a white beard. His face was as clear as jade, and he looked like an immortal. He did not look like a mortal at all. Former clan leader. When the old man's voice resonated in the air, the middle-aged man had already stopped what he was doing. When the old man appeared, he even bowed respectfully to the old man with a respectful expression on his face. He did not dare to be negligent at all. The middle-aged man was none other than Lu Rui, the current clan leader of the Northern Mountains Lu clan. As for the 2 people in the profound assimilation formation, their identities were obvious. Duan Lingtian and Xiong Quan. It's worth it. After greeting the old man, Lu Rui nodded solemnly. He knew why the old man would ask such a question. The close to 2,000 concept fragments that he had thrown in earlier were almost all of the 4 types of concept fragments that the Lu clan had in stock. Even if the Lu clan was wealthy, they would still be affected to a certain extent. At the very least, The Lu clan's genius disciples who had comprehended the 4 types of concepts would not be able to enter the profound assimilation formation to comprehend the concepts for a period of time. By doing so, he had limited the growth of the Lu clan's disciples to a certain extent. This was the price he had to pay. However, he felt it was worth it. Oh. The old man's eyes that were as bright as stars flashed before he asked again, I don't think the reason why you responded to me so decisively is because he's a grade 1 alchemist who can refine grade 1 pills with a purity of more than 90%, right? When the old man reached the end of his question, he looked at Lu Rui mockingly. Lu Rui could not help but smile wryly at his wise gaze. He knew that the former clan leader must have noticed something. Otherwise, he would not have asked such a question. The old man was none other than the previous clan leader of the Lu clan, Lu Qiu. Unlike Lu Rui, who rose to the position due to his shocking talent in refining medicine, Lu Qiu rose to the position due to his powerful martial strength and became the previous clan leader of the Lu clan. Although Lu Qiu was not an alchemist, his martial Dao innate talent was extremely terrifying. Even now, nobody in the Lu clan knew how powerful this former clan leader, who had voluntarily given up his position as the clan leader, was. However, everyone knew about it. The Lu clan's 3 guardian elders and the 3 martial monarch powerhouses might not be a match for the former clan leader, even if they joined forces. This former clan leader was the true guardian of the Lu clan. Former clan leader, please don't make things difficult for me. I've sworn on the 99 heavenly tribulation in front of Elder Duan that if I tell you about it, I'll be struck to death by the lightning punishment. Lu Rui said helplessly. Although he was the clan leader of the Lu clan, he could not compare to the old man in front of him in terms of status. The old man in front of him had a unique charisma in the Lu clan. As long as the old man said something, he would be pulled down from his position as the clan leader of the Lu clan. 99 heavenly tribulation? Lu Xuan raised his eyebrows when he heard Lu Rui's words. I was wondering who was the one who swore on the 99 heavenly tribulation and caused 9 claps of thunder to break my beautiful dream. So it's you, brat. Brat. In the current Lu clan, perhaps only Lu Qiu, the former clan leader, dared to call Lu Rui, the current clan leader, brat. Not only was Lu Rui not angry, but he even had an apologetic expression on his face. Former clan leader, I didn't know you were resting at that time. Alright, there's no need for all these empty words. Lu Qiu waved his hand and interrupted Lu Rui's words. Then, his wise eyes gleamed as he said, since you swore on the 99 heavenly tribulation, it's only natural that you can't say it out loud. However, it won't be a problem for you to give me some hints. A sly smile appeared on Lu Qiu's face when he reached the end of his sentence. Former clan leader, you can't say that. Who knows, maybe my hints will allow you to guess Elder Duan's true identity, and the 99 heavenly tribulation will strike down the lightning punishment and kill me. Lu Rui said as he shook his head. True identity? The smile on Lu Qiu's face grew wider. Lu Rui smiled wryly. Only then did he realize that he had spilled the beans. Before this, the former clan leader definitely did not know that he was taking care of Elder Duan because of his true identity. It seems like our Elder Duan is not that simple. Let me think about it. As Lu Qiu muttered to himself, he began to rack his brain. A grade 1 alchemist who's not even 30 years old who can refine grade 1 pills with a purity of more than 90%. Not only that, but he's also able to make a brat like you respect him. His true identity is undoubtedly someone that even you have to look up to. Lu Qiu frowned as he continued to ponder. The corner of Lu Rui's mouth twitched when he heard Lu Qiu muttering to himself. It did not cross his mind at all. The former clan leader managed to figure out so many clues based on that little bit of information. It seemed like he was getting closer to the truth. A grade 1 alchemist who can refine grade 1 pills with a purity of more than 90%. A grade 1 alchemist who's not even 30 years old. Not only that, but his ability is so good that he can kill an 8th level void transformation martial artist. Lu Qiu muttered to himself as he continued to ponder. Chapter 1097. Lu Rui heard every single word that Lu Qiu muttered to himself. A wry smile appeared on the corner of Lu Rui's lips. He knew very well. If there were no accidents, the former clan leader should be able to guess Elder Duan's real identity. As though he was supporting Lu Rui's words, Lu Qiu, who was originally pacing back and forth while mumbling, suddenly came to a halt. His eyes narrowed right away. Lu Rui boy. Is he the person mentioned in the handbook left behind by the old ancestor? Soon after, Lu Qiu looked at Lu Rui and asked. Before he could finish his sentence, he saw Lu Rui nodding his head. He did not continue to ask since he had already gotten the answer he wanted. I can't believe our Lu clan has crossed paths with him again. After a moment of silence, Lu Qiu could not help but sigh. It was apparent that he had already guessed Duan Lingtian's real identity. As the former clan leader of the Lu clan, he knew very well the contents of the letter that only the clan leaders of the Lu clan could read. Moreover, he had even regarded the powerful person from 10,000 years ago as his idol. Now his idol's reincarnation had appeared before his eyes. Former clan leader, what do you think of my choice now? Is it worth it? Lu Rui looked at Lu Qiu and asked with a smile. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Lu Qiu raised his hand and shot out concept fragments one by one. They were the 4 types of concept fragments that Duan Lingtian and Xiongquan needed. In just a short while he had already thrown out hundreds of them. However, there were only hundreds of them. These were all the concept fragments he had with him. Lu Rui boy. Hurry up and throw the remaining 4 types of concept fragments in your body into the formation. What are you looking at? Hurry up. Lu Qiu said to Lu Rui. However, he noticed that Lu Rui was staring at him in a daze. Yes. Lu Rui regained his senses and threw the remaining 4 types of concept fragments into the profound assimilation formation. He did not miss anything at all. The corner of Lu Rui's mouth was twitching non-stop. Even though Lu Qiu did not answer his question directly, Lu Qiu's actions showed that he agreed with his choice. From the beginning until now, there were at least 2,000 concept fragments that were thrown into the profound assimilation formation. It's about time, Lu Rui thought to himself. No, these concept fragments are still not enough. I'll go look for those 3 old fellows and knock them out of their stock. Right at this moment, Lu Qiu's voice sounded out by Lu Rui's ear. In the next moment he felt a gust of wind blow by his side, and then Lu Qiu vanished completely. Just now, who was the one who questioned my choice? The corner of Lu Rui's mouth twitched again, and his expression became extremely strange. Naturally, Duan Lingtian, who was inside the profound assimilation formation, did not know what was happening outside. Even if he knew, he didn't have the time or energy to deal with it. At this moment, his spiritual energy had successfully merged with the profound assimilation formation, and he had begun to control it to a certain extent. Compared to when he was in the 5-element sect, it was much easier for him to control the profound assimilation formation now. Currently, the amount of concept energy he could absorb was no longer 1/10 of what he had absorbed in the past. With the strength of his spiritual energy, he could easily control more than 60% of the concept energy and merge it into his body to elevate the concept he had comprehended. Since his consciousness could now be divided into 3, he could absorb 3 different types of concept energy at the same time and elevate 3 different concepts. First, he threw the concept energy refined from the earth concept fragment aside and let it wait there. His other 3 concepts continued to elevate. Sword concept, wind concept, thunder concept. Although he had also comprehended the fire concept, he did not need to elevate it intentionally. As long as his wind concept was elevated, his fire concept would naturally elevate as well. After all, the fire concept was born from the wind concept. In the beginning, he could not help Xiongquan at all because he was absorbing the concept energy refined from the sword concept fragments. This was because Xiongquan also needed to absorb the concept energy refined from the sword concept fragment. Nobody knew how long had passed. It was only when Duan Lingtian's sword concept had successfully broken through to the 9th advanced level that he could finally begin to elevate Xiongquan's sword concept. The concept energy refined from the sword concept fragment through the profound assimilation formation was 60% controlled by Duan Lingtian. He had only absorbed a little, not even 10%, and he had successfully completed the breakthrough. After all, his sword concept had already broken through to the 8th level advanced stage. He was only 1 level away from reaching the peak. Naturally, the reaching the peak referred to the peak of the concept. The profound assimilation formation refined the concept fragment. The concept energy that filled the profound assimilation formation could only elevate one's concept to the 9th advanced level. It was impossible to elevate it further. Whoosh! When the concept energy refined from the sword concept fragment was controlled by Duanling Tian, it was like a sharp sword piercing through the air, and arrived in front of Xiong Quan in just a blink of an eye. Whoosh! Under the guidance of Duanling Tian's spiritual energy, the concept energy merged into Xiong Quan's body smoothly. Xiong Quan, who was unaware of all this, quietly absorbed the concept energy that was delivered to his door. While Duanling Tian was absorbing the other 3 concept energies and elevating the other 3 concepts, Xiong Quan's sword concept was also elevating at an extremely fast speed. I can't believe Xiong Quan's cultivation base has reached the void interpretation stage in such a short period of time due to the spirit fruits. Given more time, it won't be difficult for him to step into the void transformation stage. While Duanling Tian greedily absorbed the 3 types of concept energy, he diverted his attention to think about other things. I wonder how many concept fragments the clan leader has thrown in here. The amount of concept energy refined by the profound assimilation formation is too much. Just the amount that I'm controlling is enough to elevate my 3 concepts to the 9th advanced level. Duanling Tian thought to himself. A few days ago, because the clan leader sent another spirit fruit for void transformation stage martial artists, I finally made a breakthrough to the 9th level void transformation stage successfully. Unknowingly, Duanling Tian's attention had shifted to his cultivation base. When he came back from the outside previously, he had consumed a spirit fruit and successfully made a breakthrough to the 8th level void transformation stage. A few days ago, he had consumed another spirit fruit and successfully made a breakthrough to the 9th level void transformation stage. He was only a step away from the martial monarch stage. Now that I've comprehended the 9th advanced level sword concept, I can begin to comprehend the sword profundity through the sword profundity fragment. As long as I'm given time, I'll definitely make a breakthrough to the martial monarch stage. The moment Duanling Tian thought of this, he was a little excited. He could not wait to take out the sword profundity fragment from his spatial ring and begin to comprehend the sword profundity. However, he managed to hold himself back in the end. The most important thing now is to elevate the other 3 concepts. If I can elevate all of them to the 9th advanced level, then I'll be able to comprehend the corresponding profundity through the corresponding profundity fragments. The moment Duanling Tian thought of this, he was filled with motivation. Absorb, absorb, absorb again. At this moment, Duanling Tian was greedily absorbing the 3 majestic concept energy. He could clearly feel that his wind concept, thunder concept, and earth concept were constantly elevating. Time continued to pass by quietly. Even Duanling Tian did not know how much time had passed. All he knew was to absorb. He continued to absorb greedily. He knew nothing about what was happening outside. He also did not know that Chang He, the guild leader of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outerland, had arrived at the Lu clan and was waiting for him to appear. There were 2 figures standing outside the profound assimilation formation. One was a dignified middle-aged man while the other was a sage-like old man. Former clan leader, what's going on? The middle-aged man, who was the current clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, could not help but frown. He asked the old man next to him anxiously, "It's been 2 months. Why isn't Elder Duan out yet?" "Don't worry." The old man, who was the previous clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Qiu, was not as anxious as Lu Rui. He said calmly, "Don't forget who created this profound assimilation formation." Lu Rui was stunned when he heard Lu Qiu's words. After a while he seemed to have recalled something. His eyes narrowed as he thought to himself, "I almost forgot." According to the records in the handbook left behind by the old ancestor, the profound assimilation formation was created by the reincarnation Emperor Wu himself. As the reincarnation of the reincarnation Emperor Wu, Elder Duan knows the profound assimilation formation very well. He'll definitely be able to get the most out of it in there. Lu Rui calmed down when he thought of this. The longer one stays in the profound assimilation formation, the greater the improvement. It seems like Elder Duan's going to soar this time. Lu Rui exclaimed. It's our Lu clan's fortune to be able to meet Elder Duan. We must cherish this fortune. Lu Qiu said solemnly. Understood. Lu Rui nodded. In fact, he understood this even without the former clan leader's reminder. Clan leader. At this moment, an anxious voice resonated from outside. Miss Tianwu is here. Miss Tianwu? Lu Rui was stunned at first before he smiled wryly. It seems like even Miss Tianwu is getting impatient from waiting. Let her come in if she wants to. A moment later, a woman in red with a face that seemed to be covered by a layer of frost walked in. Where's he? Feng Tianwu looked at Lu Rui and asked coldly. Chapter 1098. Boom! Just as Lu Rui was looking at the profound assimilation formation, a burst of flame suddenly rose from Feng Tianwu's body. The flame rose and eventually formed the shape of a sword. The sword-shaped flame soared into the sky, and a scorching air wave rolled out in an imposing manner. For a moment Lu Rui and Lu Qiu felt as though they were in a furnace, allowing the fire to burn them. Whoosh! Before they had time to react, they saw a woman in red with a peerless appearance and an extremely cold expression between her eyebrows make a move. The flame in her hand consolidated into a sword, and she slashed it at the profound assimilation formation. The 3-foot-long flame sword separated the airflow in its path, and a clear sword cry resonated in the air. However, although the sword contained an extremely powerful force, it was as though it had sunk into a ball of cotton when it landed on the profound assimilation formation. Whoosh! 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 Feng Tianwu, whose beautiful face was covered with a layer of frost, was not discouraged by the failure of her first attack. The flame sword in her hand continued to slash out as though she did not know the meaning of exhaustion. After slashing out countless times, Feng Tianwu finally slowed down, and the flame sword in her hand dissipated. Lu Rui and Lu Qiu, who were standing at the side, were dumbstruck. Their eyes were fixed on the sky above Feng Tianwu's head. There, 8,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons were gradually disappearing. Soon they completely disappeared. The strength of 8,000 ancient horned dragons. Lu Rui and Lu Qiu looked at each other. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. It was apparent that Feng Tianwu's strength had shocked them. Demon Monarch. In the next moment, the same thought popped up in both of their minds at the same time. They guessed that Feng Tianwu was a demon. Not only that, but she was also a demon monarch stage powerhouse. In their opinion, Feng Tianwu looked like she was only in her early 20s. If she was a human, it was impossible for her to be a martial monarch powerhouse. However, they did not know. Although Feng Tianwu could cast the monarch stage profundity, her cultivation base was only at the first level void transformation stage. Such a cultivation base was not worth mentioning in front of the 2 profundities she had mastered. It seems like the old fellow next to Lu Song wasn't killed by the powerhouse hiding behind Elder Duan, as Elder Ji said. He must have been killed by Miss Tianwu. Unlike Lu Swan, who was shocked, Lu Rui knew more and therefore thought more. Seeing that she could not break the profound assimilation formation, Feng Tianwu withdrew the 2 profundities that she was using to communicate and mobilize. She stood there quietly without moving at all. Time passed quietly, but Feng Tianwu still stood ramrod straight. From beginning to end, he did not move at all, as if he had turned into a statue. Lu Rui, do you know where she came from? Unknowingly, Lu Qiu was unable to restrain the curiosity in his heart, and asked Lu Rui via voice transmission. I only know that she's Elder Duan's confidant. As for her exact background, I'm not sure either. Lu Rui replied through voice transmission. If I'm not mistaken, she must be a powerful demon monarch. Elder Duan is indeed the reincarnation of that person. He can even hook up with a demon monarch powerhouse and make her so loyal to him. Lu Qiu exclaimed as he communicated with Lu Rui through voice transmission. Lu Rui nodded in agreement. With the profound assimilation formation as the boundary, it was a completely different world inside and outside. In the outside world, there were people who were worried about Duan Lingtian's safety. In the inside world, Duan Lingtian was happily enjoying the baptism of the concept energy. Since he was in a semi-conscious state, He could feel the rapid elevation of his concept at every moment. The elevation of his concept also meant the elevation of his strength. Duanlingtian enjoyed this feeling very much. While Duanlingtian was absorbing the 3 types of concept energy to his heart's content, Xiongquan, who was sitting cross-legged nearby, was also enjoying the baptism of the concept energy that was refined from the sword concept fragments. His sword concept was also elevating at a terrifying speed. However, it was different from Duanlingtian, who could clearly feel the elevation of his concept at every moment. Currently, Xiongquan was in a state of deep sleep. He was completely unaware of his elevation. He was passively absorbing the concept energy. Time passed by quietly. Duanlingtian did not know how much time had passed. All of a sudden, he shuddered and woke up from his stupor. My wind concept has also broken through to the 9th advanced level. Duanlingtian did not open his eyes. As he lifted his hand gently, he could feel the aura of the wind surrounding his body. At this moment, the wind surrounding his body did not seem to be much different from the wind in nature. Duanlingtian knew very well that this was the sign that his wind concept had reached its limit. The next step would be to comprehend the wind profundity. The wind profundity was the closest to the wind in nature. Right now, I'm already a true martial artist at the peak of the void. At the same time, Duanlingtian's heart jolted as he thought to himself. Although his strength was not inferior to an ordinary martial artist at the peak of the void before he entered the profound assimilation formation, that was only his strength. His cultivation base and the concept he had comprehended were far from a martial artist at the peak of the void. Right now, his cultivation base had entered the 9th level void transformation, and his 2 concepts had also broken through to the 9th advanced level. This was the symbol of a martial artist at the peak of the void. Although his strength was comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the void, it was only comparable. He could not be considered a true martial artist at the peak of the void. At this moment, he could be considered a true martial artist at the peak of the void. Unknowingly, the green wind surrounding Duanlingtian's body began to spin rapidly. It was as though it had transformed into a green divine dragon that was swimming around Duanlingtian. Boom! All of a sudden, the green divine dragon opened its bloody mouth and spat out a fiery red flame. The flame was vast and raging as it transformed into a divine dragon in just a blink of an eye. This divine dragon was a fiery red divine dragon. Whether it was the size or the aura emitted from the fiery red divine dragon, it was on par with the green divine dragon. It was the divine dragon transformed from the 9th advanced level fire concept. Duanlingtian did not need to comprehend his fire concept separately. As long as his wind concept improved, his fire concept would improve as well. Just like now. After Duanlingtian comprehended the 9th advanced level wind concept, his fire concept that he had never deliberately comprehended had also successfully broken through to the 9th advanced level. His fire concept was born from the wind concept. It was closely connected to the wind concept, and would change according to the changes in the wind concept. After a while, the 2 divine dragons dissipated. Duanlingtian withdrew the 2 concepts. Continue. I'll try to elevate my thunder concept to the 9th advanced level as soon as possible. After that, it'll be the earth concept. Since his sword concept and wind concept had both broken through to the 9th advanced level, Duanlingtian, who had tasted the sweetness, continued to absorb the other 2 concepts. They were also the last 2 concept energy. His thunder concept and earth concept rose rapidly, and they chased after his sword concept and wind concept, gradually getting closer and closer. The southern part of the Liu clan's mansion was the place where the Liu clan entertained their guests. There were many independent mansions and courtyards here that were much smaller than the mansions. Those who came to the Liu clan and stayed in the mansion were usually people with a high status. They were treated as VIPs by the Liu clan. As for ordinary guests, they could only stay in independent courtyards without any servants to serve them. At this moment, an old man was sitting in a pavilion in the front courtyard of an independent mansion in the southern part of the mansion. The old man wore a silver robe and sat in front of a stone table as he quietly savored some fragrant tea. That elder Duan of your Liu clan is really arrogant. It seems like he really intends to make me wait for 3 to 5 months. The silver-robed old man suddenly looked at the servant girl by the side and said nonchalantly. Before the servant girl could respond, whoosh! A figure appeared out of thin air in the pavilion. It was so sudden that it shocked the two servant girls standing at the side of the pavilion. Shall I interrogate the clan leader of Lu clan? The person who appeared was a middle-aged man in green. The middle-aged man looked at the silver-robed old man and asked tentatively, "There's no need for that." The silver-robed old man shook his head lightly. "We're here to look for someone. Not to look for trouble. As the host, as the guest, I can wait. Moreover, I have a strong feeling that the elder from the Lu clan will be here soon." The silver-robed old man muttered to himself in a low voice. When the silver-robed old man was muttering to himself, the green-robed middle-aged man disappeared into thin air again. The two servant girls' expressions changed again. Their delicate bodies began to tremble in fear. Soon after, another month went by. In a spacious side hall of the Lu clan's mansion, the clouds that had gathered gradually dissipated. Soon after, the only person guarding the side hall, who was sitting cross-legged at a low altitude and cultivating, slowly opened her eyes. It was a pair of clear eyes that seemed to be able to charm all living things with just a glance. Apart from that, she had a beautiful face that could cause the downfall of a nation. However, her beautiful face was always covered with a layer of frost. She exuded a cold aura that repelled people thousands of miles away. As the clouds and mist dispersed, a high platform and two figures clearly appeared before her eyes. She completely ignored one of the middle-aged men. Her eyes immediately landed on the purple-clad young man. After that, she could not move her eyes away. It was as though she had taken root and sprouted on the purple-clad young man. Whoosh! At this moment, the purple-clad young man who was sitting cross-legged on the high platform opened his eyes and sighed in relief. His eyes were as bright as the stars, like a bright lamp that illuminated the dark night. Ha 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 ha! Chapter 1099. The person who was laughing was none other than Xiong Quan. Before Xiong Quan entered the profound assimilation formation with Duanling Tian, he had already learned from Duanling Tian that the profound assimilation formation could elevate the concept of the martial artist who entered it. Now that he felt like he had been in a deep slumber for a long time, the first thing he did after waking up was to try to communicate and cast his sword concept. When he cast his sword concept, he looked at the swirling heaven and earth energy above his head. He witnessed the heaven and earth phenomenon solidifying into 1,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons. Just by relying on his sword concept, he was able to mobilize the heaven and earth energy to form 1,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons. This was the sign of the 9th level advanced sword concept. How could Xiong Quan not be happy? Before he entered the profound assimilation formation, although he knew his sword concept would elevate, he did not expect it to elevate so much. It was directly elevated to the 9th level advanced stage, the peak of concept. The next step would be the sword profundity. Profundities were usually exclusive to martial monarchs. However, when Xiong Quan saw the fire profundity and sword profundity that Feng Tianwu cast, he realized something. It was only then that he realized profundities were not exclusive to martial monarchs. Take Feng Tianwu as an example. He was only a first-level void transformation martial artist, but he had already comprehended 2 profundities. 2 monarch stage profundities, and they were not ordinary monarch stage profundities. What a joke! How could a monarch stage profundity that was equivalent to the strength of 4,000 ancient horned dragons be an ordinary monarch stage profundity? If one wanted to cast the strength of 4,000 ancient horned dragons with just one monarch stage profundity, one would have to comprehend it to the 3rd level. Feng Tianwu, a first-level void transformation martial artist, had comprehended the 3rd level monarch stage fire profundity and the 3rd level monarch stage sword profundity. Young master, my sword concept has broken through to the 9th level advanced stage. Soon Xiong Quan looked at Duanling Tian excitedly and shared his joy with Duanling Tian. At the same time, there was a hint of pride in the depths of his eyes. Not bad. Hearing Xiong Quan's words, Duanling Tian nodded and didn't reveal too much surprise. This was because Xiong Quan's breakthrough was completely within his expectations. 9th level advanced sword concept? Duanling Tian wasn't surprised, but that didn't mean that Feng Tianwu wasn't surprised. Although Feng Tianwu's face was still as cold as ever, there was a hint of surprise in the depths of her expressionless eyes. They were surprised by Xiong Quan's breakthrough. In the past, Xiong Quan had frequently displayed his sword concept before her, so she was very clear about the level of Xiong Quan's sword concept. Yet now, Xiong Quan had soared into the sky and comprehended the 9th level advanced sword concept. Young master, your comprehension ability is much better than Xiong Quan's. This time, your improvement must be much greater. Soon after, Xiong Quan calmed down a little and looked at Duan Lingtian. As soon as Xiong Quan spoke, Feng Tianwu also looked at Duan Lingtian with curiosity in her eyes. She was curious about Duan Lingtian's breakthrough in the profound assimilation formation. It's all right. Upon hearing Xiong Quan's words, Duan Lingtian only responded faintly before he looked at Feng Tianwu. Tianwu, why are you here? I was waiting for you. Feng Tianwu replied. She was a woman of few words. Ever since Feng Tianwu had lost her memory, although she had heard Duan Lingtian talk about her past, her character was still as cold as it was after she lost her memory. She was a person of few words. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian was not surprised when he heard Feng Tianwu's short reply. Not only was he not surprised, but his heart could not help but tremble slightly at this moment. The two short words undoubtedly showed that Feng Tianwu had been waiting for him here for a long time. He could not help but feel touched as he muttered to himself, "Silly girl. Let's go back." All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian seemed to have recalled something. A hint of anxiety could be seen on his face as he called out to Feng Tianwu and Xiong Quan before he walked out of the side palace. Feng Tianwu and Xiong Quan could not help but be stunned when they saw Duan Lingtian had disappeared. They did not know why Duan Lingtian was in such a hurry all of a sudden. However, they still followed him with doubts in their hearts. After leaving the side palace, Duan Lingtian flew all the way to the east of the Lu clan's estate. His residence was in that direction. At this moment he was eager to return home. Naturally, his eagerness to return home did not mean he missed his temporary home. Instead, he was eager to go back and comprehend the profundity through the profundity fragment. His current cultivation base had not just entered the 9th level void transformation stage. With the help of the overbearing medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill and the spirit fruit that he had consumed earlier, his current cultivation base had already reached the peak of the 9th level void transformation stage. He was only half a step away from the martial monarch stage. This half step was only missing the profundity. It could be said that everything was ready except for the final push. As long as he comprehended the profundity, his cultivation base would be able to successfully break through to the martial monarch stage. At that time, he would be able to become a martial monarch powerhouse. Not only did a martial monarch powerhouse possess strength that far surpassed ordinary martial artists, but they could also retain their youth forever. Retain their youth forever. What kind of concept was that? In other words, no matter how one looked when one broke through to the martial monarch stage, as long as one was willing, one could stay that way for the rest of one's life. A person who broke through to the martial monarch stage in his youth, as long as he was willing, even when he was about to die, his appearance would still be the same as when he broke through to the martial monarch stage in his youth. Of course, a powerhouse who had broken through to the martial monarch stage could also choose to let his appearance continue to age naturally. Many martial monarch powerhouses had indeed done so. On Cloud Continent, many martial artists broke through to the martial monarch stage in their middle age. As long as they were willing, they could still retain their appearance when they were about to die of old age. However, their lives did not only belong to them. When they saw their sons grow up and gradually become middle-aged, and then old, their mentality would more or less change. Because of this, many people still chose to let their appearance age rapidly after breaking through to the martial monarch stage in order to match their descendants. Otherwise, what would it be like if they still had the appearance of a middle-aged man when their grandchildren were old? After all, no martial monarch powerhouse dared to guarantee that their sons and grandsons would break through to the martial monarch stage and become a martial monarch powerhouse like them and retain their youth forever. Of course, there were also many martial monarch powerhouses who did not choose to retain their youth forever to match their wives. For example, if a martial monarch powerhouse saw his beloved wife grow old day by day, her teeth falling out, her hair turning white, and her face covered in wrinkles, he would still look like a middle-aged man. How would he feel then? Of course, every martial monarch powerhouse made a different choice. In the history of Cloud Continent, there had been some young martial monarch powerhouses who chose to retain their youthful appearance for the rest of their lives. They allowed their children who were over 70 years old to call them father, and allowed their grandchildren who seemed older than them to call them grandfather. They did not think there was anything wrong with this. In their opinion, seniority had nothing to do with external appearance. Martial monarch stage. Martial monarch stage. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was anxious to return home. He wished he could grow a pair of wings and fly back. However, on the way back, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel slightly conflicted and vexed. Now the sword concept, wind concept, lightning concept, and earth concept that I've comprehended have all broken through to the 9th level advanced concept. I have the profundity fragments that correspond to the profundities of these 4 concepts in my possession as well. My consciousness has been divided into 3 due to the aftereffects of the Devil Seal tablet twice. For this reason, I can comprehend 3 different profundities through 3 different profundity fragments at the same time. Which 3 concepts should I choose first and let them transform into profundities? Annoying. Truly annoying. Duan Lingtian was extremely vexed now, extremely vexed. Why do 4 concepts have to break through to the 9th level advanced concept at the same time? Looks like sometimes, comprehending too many 9th level advanced concepts might not be a good thing. Duan Lingtian sighed. He was truly vexed. One could imagine, if Duan Lingtian's current thoughts were known by another person, that person would surely give him a slap without hesitation before scolding him for not appreciating his good fortune and being shameless. Of the 3 concepts, the wind concept must occupy a spot. I must comprehend the wind profundity through the wind profundity fragment in one go. Of course, it was the monarch stage profundity fragment and the monarch stage profundity. Although he had the emperor stage wind profundity fragment in his possession, he had no use for it at the moment. To be more precise, the emperor stage wind profundity fragment could only be used after he comprehended the 9th level monarch stage wind profundity. However, other than the 2nd level emperor stage wind profundity fragment that he obtained from Emperor Wu's secret treasure, he still had an 8th level monarch stage wind profundity fragment in his possession. The former was not useful to him now. The latter was useful to him. He planned to use the latter to comprehend the wind profundity in one go, and break through to the martial monarch stage to become a martial monarch powerhouse. The reason he listed the wind concept as one of the 3 concepts he had to comprehend first was because of the wind concept. After he comprehended the wind profundity would be able to give birth to the fire profundity of the same level. Choosing to list the wind concept as one of the 3 concepts he was about to break through was undoubtedly a wise choice. Soon after, Duan Lingtian returned to the mansion that he had been staying in for a while. After greeting Feng Tianwu and Xiong Quan, he immediately returned to his room and sat cross-legged on his bed. Chapter 1100. There were 3 profundity fragments. To be exact, there were 3 monarch stage profundity fragments. One of them was undoubtedly the monarch stage wind profundity fragment. The 9th level advanced wind concept could help him comprehend the monarch stage wind profundity in a short time. The wind concept was the concept that Duan Lingtian wanted to improve the most. As long as he could transform the wind concept into the wind profundity, it would be equivalent to him comprehending 2 profundities at once. Wind profundity, fire profundity. As for the other 2 fragments, one of them was undoubtedly the 3rd level monarch stage sword profundity fragment. Unlike the previous profundity fragment that he obtained from Emperor Wu's secret treasure, this profundity fragment was obtained by Duan Lingtian in the Sword Monarch's treasure. It was one of the 3 profundity fragments in the Tempest Sword Monarch's body. Duan Lingtian remembered. At that time, there were 2 other profundity fragments in the Tempest Sword Monarch's body. The 3rd level Monarch Stage Wind Profundity Fragment, and the 3rd level Monarch Stage Thunder Profundity Fragment. He had traded the former for the 8th level Monarch Stage Thunder Profundity Fragment in his possession. He had given the latter to the 5-element sect to repay the favor. This sword profundity fragment was also the only sword profundity fragment in Duan Lingtian's possession. The reason he urgently wanted to complete the breakthrough of his sword concept and transform it into the sword profundity was because of the word sword, that sword Saint Feng Qingyang left behind in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. He forcefully memorized part of the obscure information in the word sword, so he could comprehend it at any time. The word sword contained the sword Dao comprehension that could help him improve his sword concept and sword profundity. It was because of this that he chose to comprehend the sword profundity first. He had a strong instinct. As long as he comprehended the sword profundity and comprehended the sword Dao comprehension in the word sword in the future, his sword profundity would improve by leaps and bounds. The last fragment that Duan Lingtian chose was the 8th level Monarch Stage Earth Profundity Fragment. The profound meaning of Earth was the same as the concept of Earth. As long as one was close to the ground, one could communicate with the Earth and borrow its power. The Earth power he had borrowed was half of the Earth power Upanishad. Choosing the Earth Upanishad fragment was logical. The Thunder Upanishad fragment was temporarily abandoned by Duan Lingtian. I'll comprehend these 3 profundities first. Soon after, Duan Lingtian closed his eyes gently. While he was meditating, he comprehended 3 different profundities through the 3 different profundity fragments. Currently, Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was at the 9th level void transformation, and he had comprehended 5 types of 9th level void transformation concepts. Among the group of martial artists at the peak of the void stage on Cloud Continent, he was undoubtedly an anomaly. Once the 5 9th level void transformation concepts exerted pressure on each other, it was easy for Duan Lingtian to comprehend a profundity on his own. However, compared to using the profundity fragment to comprehend the profundity, it was still slightly inferior. The most important thing was, Duan Lingtian could comprehend 3 different profundities through 3 different profundity fragments at the same time. The speed at which he comprehended the profundity was much faster than the former. Elder Duan. Just as Duan Lingtian was about to comprehend the 3 profundities in one go, a hurried voice resonated from outside the room. The clan leader is here. He's waiting for you in the main hall. Clan leader? Duan Lingtian opened his eyes and frowned. Then he relaxed. Why did he have to come at this time? Although Duan Lingtian muttered to himself, he still put away the 3 profundity fragments and stopped comprehending. He got off the bed and walked out of the room. Soon after, Duan Lingtian arrived at the main hall. Elder Duan, you've finally come out of the profound assimilation formation after 3 months. I'm sure Elder Duan has gained a lot this time, right? The clan leader of Lu Clan, Lu Rui's eyes lit up when he saw Duan Lingtian. Not bad. Duan Lingtian nodded. However, he did not show much joy on his face. Gained a lot? Of course. After the baptism of the profound assimilation formation, he had successfully raised the 4 concepts that he had comprehended to the peak, which was the 9th level advanced concept. Moreover, since his wind concept could give birth to the fire concept at the same level, it was equivalent to him mastering 5 9th level advanced concepts at the same time. 5 9th level advanced concepts were equivalent to 5 9th level void transformation concepts. What kind of concept was that? In other words, even if he did not use his origin energy, did not consider borrowing the earth energy with his earth concept, and did not consider borrowing the wind concept from the fire concept. Once the 5 9th level void transformation concepts were unleashed, it was equivalent to the strength of 5,000 ancient horn dragons. Coupled with the earth energy and the wind concept from the fire concept, it was even more terrifying. Right now, I should be invincible among those below the martial monarch realm. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Elder Duan, I shouldn't have disturbed you since you've just come out of the profound assimilation formation. Lu Rui looked at Duan Lingtian and said slowly. When he spoke up to this point, Duan Lingtian looked at him meaningfully, giving him a knowing look. Duan Lingtian could not help but smile bitterly as he paused for a moment. However, I really have no choice this time. President Cheng. I've been waiting for you for 3 months. Lu Rui continued. At the same time, a hint of helplessness appeared on his face. President Cheng? You've been waiting for me for 3 months? Upon hearing Lu Rui's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel puzzled. Who's that? Why did you wait for me for so long? President Chang is the president of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land. Just like you, he's also a grade 1 alchemist. Lu Rui answered Duan Lingtian's question. The president of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land? Why is he looking for me? Duan Lingtian asked with a frown. His tone was filled with displeasure. He was supposed to be comprehending 3 types of profundities through the 3 profundity fragments. However, the president of the Southern Outer Lands Alchemist Guild had interrupted him and ruined his plans. For a moment, he had a bad impression of the president of the Southern Outer Lands Alchemist Guild's main guild whom he had never met before. He didn't say. However, I'm sure it has something to do with the grade 1 pill that has more than 90% purity that you refined, Elder Duan. Lu Rui speculated. Duan Lingtian nodded. This was the only possibility after he thought about it. Go and tell him. Tell him I'm not interested in seeing him no matter what kind of president he is. Duan Lingtian said nonchalantly. His tone was filled with indifference. Let alone the president of the Southern Outer Lands Alchemist Guild's main guild. He would not even bother with the president of the Inlands Alchemist Guild's main guild. Haha. I've come all the way here just to have a chat with you, Elder Duan, and share my experience in refining medicine. Why must you reject me, Elder Duan? Before Lu Rui could speak, a loud laughter resonated from outside the main hall. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian and Lu Rui saw 2 figures walking into the main hall. The person in the lead was an old man in a silver robe. Following behind him was a middle-aged man dressed in green. Unlike the old man who had a bright smile on his face, the middle-aged man in green had a cold expression on his face. The voice earlier was obviously from the silver-robed old man. Lu Rui's face turned grave when he saw the sudden appearance of the 2 people. Although this was Elder Duan's temporary residence, it was still the Lu clan's territory no matter what. The 2 of them had entered without Elder Duan's permission. Not only was it disrespectful to Elder Duan, but it was also a slap to the Lu clan's face. Elder Duan, my name is Chang He. I'm the president of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land. After a while, the silver-robed old man arrived in front of Duan Lingtian and introduced himself. As for this man behind me, he's a guard assigned to me by the Alchemist Guild in the Inner Land. His name is Lang Chi Chung. He did not seem to notice Duan Lingtian's gradually darkening expression. After introducing himself, he continued to introduce the middle-aged man in green, Lang Chi. When Lang Chi heard Chang He's introduction, he lifted his head slightly and nodded at Duan Lingtian calmly as a greeting. Elder Duan, please don't blame Lang Chi for his character. Chang He looked at Duan Lingtian, and the smile on his face grew wider. What does his character have to do with me? You, on the other hand, have barged into my main hall without my permission. Duan Lingtian looked at Chang He coldly. When he reached this point, he paused for a moment before he continued. Didn't your parents teach you any manners? When Duan Lingtian reached the end of his sentence, his tone became heavier. Didn't your parents teach you any manners? The moment Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, Lu Rui, who was standing next to him, was completely petrified. Although he could see that Elder Duan was furious, he did not expect Elder Duan to be so rude. The old man in front of him was the president of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land. He was the best grade 1 alchemist in the entire southern outer land. Of course, this was before Elder Duan appeared. However, Elder Duan was a distinguished grade 1 alchemist after all. Elder Duan's words were undoubtedly a slap to his face. When Lu Rui thought about it, he felt relieved. Only then did he recall that Elder Duan was not an ordinary person. In front of Elder Duan's past life when he was at his peak 10,000 years ago, someone like Chang He was not even fit to carry Elder Duan's shoes. Whoosh! When Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, the smile on Chang He's face froze instantly. His expression turned grave. As for the middle-aged man in green behind Chang He, his eyes gleamed coldly when he looked at Duan Lingtian again. An intimidating aura extended from his body. It was as sharp as a sword as it charged at Duan Lingtian. Wherever the aura passed, the air seemed to condense. As for Duan Lingtian, his expression did not change at all. He did not treat this as a big deal at all. However, although Duan Lingtian did not treat this as a big deal, it did not mean that others would not treat it as a big deal as well. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past. Lu Rui moved and appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. Boom! The majestic aura pressed on Lu Rui's body, causing his face to turn red. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 11:01. Boom! Lu Rui was injured by Lung Qi's aura and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lung Qi's aura swept out again and landed on him, forcing him to take a few steps back. Barf! Barf! Every time Lu Rui took a step back, he would spit out a mouthful of dazzling blood. At the same time, his face became extremely pale, without any color to speak of. Boom! Lu Rui's eyes were filled with despair when he saw Lung Qi's third wave of aura sweeping out. Although he was a martial artist at the peak of the void, he was nothing in front of a martial monarch powerhouse whose strength was even stronger than the three great guardian elders of the Lu clan. Perhaps, in the eyes of a martial monarch powerhouse like this, he was just an ant that could be easily killed. Not only that, but Lung Qi's aura was enough to suppress him to the point of suffocation and even kill him. If this happened a few more times, it was not impossible for Lung Qi to kill him with just his aura alone. Humph! Just when Lu Rui thought he was going to die, he felt a gust of wind coming from the side. At the same time, a purple figure stood in front of him and shielded him. Elder Duan. Horror dawned on Lu Rui when he saw the familiar figure. The only reason he had stood up for Elder Duan was to help him. And now, seeing that everything he did just now was useless, he immediately became anxious. However, in the next moment the shock on his face froze. God! What did he just see? The purple-clad young man stood in front of him and allowed Lung Qi's aura to land on him. He was not affected at all. He stood there motionless like a mountain. Elder Duan is so strong? Lu Rui was in disbelief. Although he knew Elder Duan's background, and he knew Elder Duan had killed an 8th-level Void Transformation Stage Elder from the Lu clan some time ago, and his strength was extraordinary. In his opinion, Elder Duan's cultivation base was on par with his at the peak of the void at most. However, the scene today had undoubtedly overturned his opinion of Elder Duan. As expected of the third reincarnation of the reincarnation Emperor Wu, he's already at the martial monarch stage at such a young age. Since Duan Lingtian could withstand Lung Qi's aura head-on, Lu Rui guessed that Duan Lingtian was a martial monarch powerhouse. If he found out that Duan Lingtian was not a martial monarch powerhouse, he wondered what kind of expression he would have. On the other side, Duan Lingtian didn't seem to be affected by Lung Qi's aura. Chang He, who had maintained a calm expression from beginning to end, was startled at first, then his expression turned solemn. Who is he? Not only is he a grade 1 alchemist at such a young age, but he's also able to withstand Lung Qi's aura. At this moment, Chang He was completely shocked by Duan Lingtian. When Lung Qi realized that his aura couldn't do anything to Duan Lingtian, there was a slight change in his expression. All of a sudden, Lung Qi took a step forward and extended his hand at lightning speed toward Duan Lingtian. Boom! 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 At that moment, the heaven and earth energy above Lung Qi stirred and set off a series of thunderous explosions. It was as though it was telling the world how powerful his strength was. Duan Lingtian's face turned grave when he saw Lung Qi's hand reaching toward him. His eyes gleamed coldly as though he was about to devour someone. Currently, his strength had increased tremendously. Although he was facing a martial monarch powerhouse like Lung Qi, his heart was as calm as still water. However, although Duan Lingtian's mood was calm, his expression was extremely solemn. He could tell. This Lung Qi was no ordinary martial monarch powerhouse. At the very least, it would be difficult for him to fight against an ordinary martial monarch powerhouse with his current strength. Whoosh! Just as Duan Lingtian was about to retreat, the short-lived sound of a sword whistling entered his ears. He could not help but be stunned when he felt that the sword whistling sound was somewhat familiar. In the next moment he saw a sword-shaped flame charging toward Lung Qi in a menacing manner. Tianwu! Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically when he saw the sword-shaped flame. He recognized the person. It was Feng Tianwu. To be more precise, it was Feng Tianwu who had lost her memory. Whoosh! In the next moment, Duan Lingtian made his move. However, he did not charge toward Leng Qi, nor did he chase after Feng Tianwu, who was charging toward Leng Qi with her sword. His target was Chang He, who was standing quietly at the side and watching the show. Whirlwind. In an instant, Duan Lingtian seemed to have transformed into a hurricane as he charged toward Chang He. He did not hold back at all as he unleashed all of his strength. When the 5 9th level void transformation concepts were unleashed, it was equivalent to the strength of 5,000 ancient horn dragons. Among them, the 9th level advanced earth concept borrowed the earth energy to increase the strength of an additional 500 ancient horn dragons. Fire with wind. As the 9th level advanced wind concept merged with the 9th level advanced fire concept, the latter skyrocketed. Its aura was vast, and it increased the strength of an additional 500 ancient horn dragons. In other words, Duan Lingtian unleashed all of the concepts that he had comprehended. It was equivalent to the strength of 6,000 ancient horn dragons. Coupled with the 9th level void transformation origin energy that was equivalent to the strength of 1,200 ancient horn dragons, the speed that Duan Lingtian displayed was equivalent to the strength of 7,200 ancient horn dragons. Whoosh! Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian's speed was so fast that Chang He, whose cultivation base was only at the first-level martial monarch stage, could not react in time. An ordinary first-level martial monarch stage martial artist. His origin energy was equivalent to the strength of 2,000 ancient horn dragons. A first-level monarch stage profundity was equivalent to the strength of 2,000 ancient horn dragons. 2 9th level void transformation concepts were equivalent to the strength of 2,000 ancient horn dragons. In total, it was equivalent to the strength of 6,000 ancient horn dragons. Chang He was exactly this kind of person. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian's speed was much faster than Chang He's speed when he was propelled by the strength of 1,000 ancient horn dragons. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian was already close to Chang He. On the other hand, in the face of Feng Tianwu's ferocious sword, Leng Qi, who initially wanted to kill Feng Tianwu, had a drastic change of expression when he realized Chang He was in a predicament. His heart was burning with anxiety. In the next instant, the anxious Leng Qi hurriedly slapped his palm out to meet the ferocious sword in Feng Tianwu's hand. As the palm print shot out, Chang He quickly dashed to the other side. His sharp gaze shifted from Feng Tianwu to Duan Lingtian. Boom! The palm print that shot out collided with the sword in Feng Tianwu's hand that contained the strength of 8,000 ancient horn dragons. Not only did it annihilate the energy in Feng Tianwu's sword, but it also forced Feng Tianwu to take a few steps back. For a moment, Feng Tianwu's face turned pale. Her body was shaking. It was obvious that she had suffered a serious internal injury. Don't kill him. At this moment, a hurried voice resonated in the air. It caused Feng Tianwu and Lu Rui's expressions to change drastically. Bang! A loud bang reverberated in the air, causing Feng Tianwu's heart to tremble. Panic filled her eyes. In the distance, the purple-clad young man who had resolutely chosen to pounce on Chang He, when he saw that Feng Tianwu was in a dangerous situation, was sent flying by Leng Qi's palm strike. Ouch! Duan Lingtian, who was sent flying backward like an arrow, leaving the bowstring as blood spurted out of his mouth. All he could feel was a heart-wrenching pain coming from his body. It was a terrible feeling. Initially, it was his chest that was injured. Then, it was his internal organs. In the end, it spread to his entire body. Ouch! Unbearable. That was the only thought in Duan Lingtian's mind at that moment. In the end, Duan Lingtian, who could not mobilize his origin energy due to his injury, was sent flying by the energy that surged into his body from Leng Qi's palm strike. He flew all the way until he finally fell hard on the ground. Whoosh! A figure that looked like a flame immediately pounced on Duan Lingtian. Although the red-clothed woman did not say anything, the anxiety between her brows undoubtedly betrayed her current mood. Elder Duan. Horror dawned on Lu Rui's face as he hurriedly followed up. When he flew toward Duan Lingtian, who had fallen on the ground due to his injury, a strange bead appeared in his hand. He crushed the bead as soon as it appeared. If Duan Lingtian saw the bead, he would definitely recognize it at first glance. It was a bead that was inscribed with a detection inscription. As long as he crushed it, someone would immediately notice it and rush over. There were only a few people in the entire Lu clan who could make Lu Rui crush the bead to summon them. Moreover, they were all at the martial monarch stage or above. I am fine. After consuming the grade 1 life recovery pill that he had personally refined, Duan Ling Tian, who was originally lying limp on the ground like a pile of mud, was miraculously able to stand up. As expected of a grade 1 life recovery pill with more than 90% purity, Cheng He's eyes lit up when he saw that. His breathing quickened involuntarily. One could imagine, if he could obtain the method to refine grade 1 pills with such high purity, his position in the Alchemist Guild on Cloud Continent would definitely rise. In the future, it would not be impossible for him to become the guild master of the Alchemist Guild's highest headquarters on Cloud Continent and be worshipped by countless alchemists. I'm determined to obtain the method to refine high-purity pills. Cheng He's eyes gradually became determined. This was the reason why he had asked Ling Qi not to kill Duan Lingtian earlier. He wanted to pry the method to refine high-purity pills out of Duan Lingtian's mouth. If Duan Lingtian died, his trip here would be in vain. As for Duan Lingtian, it was precisely because he had seen through Cheng He's thoughts that he risked his life and used the strategy of attacking Wei to rescue Zhao to rescue Feng Tianwu. If he had not done that, Feng Tianwu would definitely die. He did not doubt that at all. He had undoubtedly risked his life by doing that. However, he had wanted to gamble that Cheng He would stop Leng Qi from killing him. As it turned out, he had made the right bet. Duan Lingtian, since you don't want the respect I've shown you, don't blame me for falling out with you. Chapter 1102. Cheng He finally tore off his last disguise and revealed his purpose of coming to the Lu clan to look for Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian had already guessed Cheng He's purpose, so he was not surprised. Lu Rui, who was standing at the side, had a strange expression on his face when he heard Cheng He's words. Others might not know how Duan Lingtian could become a grade 1 alchemist at such a young age, and refine grade 1 pills with more than 90% purity. However, Lu Rui knew about it very well. Duan Lingtian was a powerful alchemist who had cultivated the medicine refinement Dao to its peak in his previous life. Now that he had reincarnated with his memories, he did not have to start over on the medicine refinement Dao. In this life, he was a born medicine refinement master. As long as his cultivation base was sufficient, he could condense pill fire of any grade at any time and become an alchemist of any grade. This Cheng He seems to think Elder Duan has some special method to refine pills with more than 90% purity at such a young age. As the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui had a clear and wise mind. It was easy for him to guess Cheng He's thoughts. He knew that Cheng He was simply wasting his efforts. This was because it was almost impossible for anyone to replicate Elder Duan's method of refining pills with more than 90% purity. It was an achievement achieved by a powerful person in the past who had spent his entire life. If I don't tell you the method of refining pills with more than 90% purity, don't tell me you're going to kill me to silence me? Duan Lingtian was not afraid when he heard Cheng He's words. Instead, he asked calmly, I will first kill everyone around you that you care about. Then I will slowly torture you. When you have a mental breakdown, I will kill you. Cheng He said coldly as his eyes gleamed coldly. When Cheng He said this, he looked at Feng Tianwu meaningfully. Duan Lingtian's expression changed immediately. A dragon had a reverse scale, and those who touched it would die. Duan Lingtian's reverse scale was none other than the people he cared about around him. If someone wanted to kill him and he was no match for them, he would accept it without a second thought. However, he would never allow anyone to kill the people he cared about around him. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. He stared at Cheng He coldly and said word by word, Cheng He, you're playing with fire. Playing with fire. Playing with fire would burn oneself. There was no doubt that Duan Lingtian's words meant this. Playing with fire? Cheng He smiled brightly. I don't know about other things, but I'm pretty sure I know how to play with fire. I can even control a first-grade elixir fire, let alone an ordinary fire. When Cheng He reached the end of his sentence, he looked at Duan Lingtian with disdain. It was as though he was laughing at Duan Lingtian's words. Have you made your decision? Chang He's eyes stared at Duan Lingtian again as his voice gradually turned cold. Arrogant. You're just a piece of trash who's trying to intimidate others. Duan Lingtian said word by word as he glanced at Chang He in disdain. His face was filled with disdain. Every word he said was merciless. That won't work on me. However, Chang He did not seem to mind Duan Lingtian calling him a piece of trash. Instead, he stared at Duan Lingtian with gleaming eyes. You're just trying to infuriate me so that I'll fight with you. Although I don't know how you're so strong at such a young age, I know that I'm not as good as you, so I won't be so stupid as to fall for your trick. Chang He said unhurriedly with an expression that said, I've seen through you long ago. Duan Lingtian's expression did not look too good after Chang He saw through him. However, he seemed to have noticed something. He raised an eyebrow before he recovered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment 3 gusts of wind blew into the main hall. 3 old figures appeared next to Lu Rui and Duan Lingtian. They were 3 old men. One was as round as a ball, one was as thin as a bamboo pole, and the last one had a medium build. Duan Lingtian was familiar with the 3 old men. They were the 3 Lu clan's guardian elders. Lu Yuan, Lu Gui and Lu Ji. All 3 of them were at the martial monarch stage. They were the pillars of the Lu clan. Clan leader. Elder Duan, Miss Tianwu. After the 3 of them appeared, they greeted Lu Rui, Duan Lingtian, and Feng Tianwu one after another. Then they looked at Chang He and Leng Qi who were standing opposite them vigilantly. They had rushed over as soon as they saw the clan leader of Lu clan crushing the bead that was inscribed with the induction inscription. As the 3 Lu clan's guardian elders, they knew the current clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, very well. They knew that if Lu Rui hadn't met with some serious or urgent matter, he definitely wouldn't have crushed that pearl on his own accord. Due to this reason, they rushed over as soon as they could without any hesitation. Whoosh! Soon, another gust of wind blew into the hall. Following that, an aged figure appeared. It was an old man with white hair and brows, and he seemed to have a sage-like demeanor. The sage-like old man stood next to Lu Rui. His face was calm like an ancient well. Former clan leader. When the old man appeared, whether it was the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, or the other 3 guardian elders of Lu clan, all of them bowed at him respectfully. The old man was the previous clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Qiu. Former clan leader? The previous clan leader of Lu clan? Duan Lingtian stood at the side. He was slightly shocked. He did not expect the previous clan leader of Lu clan to still be alive. Moreover, he was staying in the Lu clan. The people from the Alchemist Guild are really arrogant. I can't believe they came to our Lu clan to behave atrociously. After Lu Qiu nodded at Lu Rui and the others, he shifted his gaze and glanced at Chang He and Leng Qi indifferently. There was a hint of anger in his voice. I've long heard that the former clan leader is the strongest person in Lu clan. Now that I've seen you in person, I can see how impressive you are. Chang He forced a smile on his face and greeted Lu Qiu. However, Lu Qiu ignored him. Instead, he looked at the green-clad middle-aged man Leng Qi, who was standing next to him. Whoosh! Without warning, Lu Qiu made his move. He moved without any warning. It was as though he had transformed into a cannonball that had just left the barrel as he charged toward Leng Qi. Whoosh! When Lu Qiu made his move, Leng Qi moved as well. It was as though he had transformed into a cannonball as he charged toward Lu Qiu fearlessly. At the same time, both of their figures disappeared before the eyes of Duan Lingtian and the others. Boom! A loud noise reverberated in the air. Duan Lingtian and the others saw Lu Qiu and Leng Qi separated. Both of them took 5 steps back before they regained their footing and stared at each other fiercely. At the instant the 2 of them separated, waves of vast airwaves swept out in all directions. In just a blink of an eye, it transformed into gusts of violent winds that blew Duan Lingtian and the others' robes, causing them to flutter loudly. The heaven and earth energy that had yet to gather into the heaven and earth phenomenon in the air dissipated without a trace. Everyone present knew very well what had happened. Although the incident happened in just a blink of an eye, It was obvious that Lu Qiu and Leng Qi had exchanged blows, and it was a draw. No wonder you dare to behave atrociously in our Lu clan. So you're actually so powerful. Lu Qiu said as he looked at Leng Qi deeply. You're not bad yourself. Leng Qi's expression was still as cold as ever. However, when he looked at Lu Qiu, a hint of dread could be seen in his eyes. All of this happened in just a blink of an eye. The brief exchange between Lu Qiu and Leng Qi ended in a draw. At this moment, the smile on Chang He's face completely froze. Although he knew Lu Qiu, the former clan leader of Lu clan, was the strongest person in the Lu clan, he did not expect Lu Qiu to be so powerful. His strength was on par with Leng Qi. Damn this Lu Qiu. Chang He cursed in his heart. Just a little bit more, and his 3 months of waiting would have been for nothing. All of this was because of the appearance of the former clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Qiu. If it was not for Lu Qiu, he might have succeeded. The former clan leader is indeed worthy of being the strongest person in the Lu clan. His reputation is well deserved. Chang He is impressed. Although Chang He was cursing Lu Qiu in his heart, he said something else with a fake smile on his face from the beginning until the end. After Lu Qiu appeared, Chang He realized that he had lost the upper hand. He didn't stay any longer and left with Leng Qi. Thank you, former clan leader. Duan Lingtian regained his senses when he saw Chang He and old man Leng Qi leaving so quickly. He immediately looked at Lu Qiu and thanked him with a smile. You're welcome, Elder Duan. When Duan Lingtian thanked Lu Qiu felt slightly flattered. In the beginning, Duan Lingtian noticed something was amiss with the way Lu Qiu looked at him. When he saw the flattered expression on Lu Qiu's face, he was even more certain of his discovery. Don't tell me he knows my true identity as well? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. The more he thought about it, the more certain he became. That's not right. The clan leader once swore on the 99 heavenly tribulation that he would never reveal my true identity. If that's the case, how did the former clan leader find out? Duan Lingtian could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. In the end, he could not help but ask Lu Rui through voice transmission. He learned many things from Lu Rui, including the fact that the former clan leader had guessed his true identity. I see. Duan Lingtian was suddenly enlightened. The confusion in his heart gradually disappeared. In the sky above the Lu clan's estate, 2 figures left one after another. It was as though they had transformed into 2 short-lived bolts of lightning. They were none other than Chang He and Leng Qi, who had just left the Lu clan's estate. However, the direction they were flying in was not the direction of the Alchemist Guild. Lu clan. Lu Qiu. I'll never let this matter rest. Chang He muttered to himself as his eyes gleamed coldly. Let's go. We'll go to the O clan. After that, we'll make a trip to the Weapons Craftsman Guild headquarters in the southern outer land. Chapter 1103. Are you feeling better? After the Lu clan's upper echelons left, Duan Lingtian looked at Feng Tianwu, who had just consumed the Grade 1 life recovery pill, with concern. Yes. Feng Tianwu nodded lightly. At this moment, the frost on her beautiful face that could cause the downfall of a nation melted a little, and a faint blush appeared on her cheeks. Why did you do that earlier? In next to no time, Feng Tianwu's beautiful eyes squinted as she looked straight at Duan Lingtian. What do you mean, why did I do that? Duan Lingtian was stunned. He did not know what Feng Tianwu was asking. Just now. If you didn't make a move on that old man in time, that person wouldn't have shown mercy to me. Feng Tianwu said. As the person involved, she knew very well what had happened earlier. Duan Lingtian had done that to save her. Naturally, she could tell that it was very risky for him to do that. It was very likely that he would be killed after saving her. I won't let anything happen to you. Duan Lingtian's answer was very simple and straightforward. I won't let anything happen to you. This short sentence caused Feng Tianwu's heart to tremble violently for a moment. Following that, she felt a strong sense of happiness. At that moment, Feng Tianwu looked at Duan Lingtian with a gentler gaze. Moreover, you only made a move on him because you wanted to save me. If anything happens to you because of this, I won't be able to explain it to Uncle Feng, and I won't be able to forgive myself for the rest of my life. Duan Lingtian said solemnly. Feng Tianwu lightly nodded, and when she faced Duanling Tian now, there wasn't much coldness left on her peerlessly beautiful face. Young master, what's going on? However, when a loud and clear voice came from outside, it was Xiong Quan who had arrived late. The frost on Feng Tianwu's face rose once again, emitting an ice-cold aura. It was obvious that she only accepted Duanling Tian. She did not accept anyone else other than Duanling Tian. It's nothing. It's just a small matter, Duanling Tian said with a faint smile. Small matter. Xiong Quan frowned when he saw the blood all over the ground in the main hall. How could it be a small matter when there was so much blood? Young master, are you hurt? Xiong Quan asked anxiously as he looked at Duanling Tian with a concerned expression. That's someone else's blood, Duanling Tian said. Of course, he added in his heart, most of it is someone else's blood. Someone else's blood was Lu Rui's blood. As for the rest, it was the blood he spat out after being injured by Lung Qi in order not to worry Xiong Quan. He did not explain in detail. Xiong Quan heaved a sigh of relief. I'm going back to my room to cultivate. Feng Tianwu left after bidding her farewells to Duanling Tian, and she left in a hurry. Young master, I'm going back to my room to cultivate as well. After Xiong Quan confirmed that Duanling Tian was fine, he was also in a hurry to return to his room to cultivate. He only hoped that he could raise his cultivation as soon as possible so that he could help his young master better. Go. Duanling Tian nodded. After Feng Tianwu and Xiong Quan left, Duanling Tian was the only one left in the main hall. Chengheleng Qi. Duanling Tian's face darkened instantly. His eyes flashed with a cold light as if he was about to devour someone. If he could, he wanted to kill the two of them with his own hands. From the moment Chang He used the people around him to threaten him and touched his reverse scale, he had already treated Chang He as a dead man. If he had the chance, he would not let Chang He live. As for Lung Qi, although he was just a lackey, he would not let him go since he dared to hurt Tian Wu. Strength. My strength is still too weak. At this moment, Duanling Tian could only hate himself for being too weak. If he had the strength to defeat Lung Qi today, none of this would have happened. I'll continue to comprehend the profundity through the profundity fragments. As long as I can comprehend the wind profundity, sword profundity, and earth profundity, my strength will be raised to another level. At that time, my origin energy will transform, and my cultivation base will officially enter the martial monarch stage. As long as I enter the martial monarch stage, the overbearing medicinal effect of the rebirth pill hidden in the depths of my dantian will erupt. At that time, my cultivation base will be raised at a tremendous speed. Duanling Tian's eyes lit up as he muttered to himself. In the end, he seemed to have transformed into a gust of wind as he left the main hall and returned to his room. After returning to his room, Duanling Tian immediately took out the 3 profundity fragments and comprehended 3 different profundities at the same time. Once the 3 concepts complete their transformation and become profundities, and I step into the first level martial monarch stage, my strength will undergo an earth-shattering change. Duanling Tian was 100% sure about this. He was preparing to elevate the 3 concepts. Even if it was only the first level monarch stage profundity, he would have an additional strength of 1,000 ancient horn dragons if he upgraded any of them to profundity. Compared to before he broke through, it was twice as much. 3 profundities would give him an additional strength of 3,000 ancient horned dragons. Moreover, as long as he comprehended the first level monarch stage wind profundity, he would be able to cultivate the first level monarch stage fire profundity. It was equivalent to elevating 4 concepts to profundities at the same time. 4 ninth level void transformation concepts compared to 4 first level monarch stage profundities. The former was equivalent to the strength of 4,000 ancient horned dragons, while the latter was equivalent to 8,000 ancient horned dragons. They were completely different. If the latter was combined with the earth energy from the first level monarch stage earth profundity, and the additional strength from the first level monarch stage fire profundity due to the wind profundity, it would be equivalent to the strength of 10,000 ancient horned dragons. All of this was just the strength of the profundity. Once the origin energy of a first level martial monarch stage was unleashed, it would be equivalent to the strength of 2,000 ancient horned dragons. If the quasi-royal grade spirit sword doubled the strength, It would be equivalent to the strength of 2,000 ancient horned dragons. At that time, in addition to the 9th level advanced thunder concept, Duanling Tian would be able to exert the strength of 15,000 ancient horned dragons if he unleashed his full strength. Of course, the heaven and earth phenomenon would also undergo earth-shattering changes. Just like how one ancient horned dragon's silhouette replaced 10,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes, a new heaven and earth phenomenon would also appear to replace the 10,000 ancient horned dragons' silhouettes. The strength of 15,000 ancient horned dragons. It should be enough to fight Leng Qi. However, it's still not enough to defeat him. Duanling Tian thought to himself as his heart jolted. Although he couldn't detect Leng Qi's exact cultivation base with his psychic power, he could roughly tell how strong Leng Qi was from Leng Qi's attacks one after another. Leng Qi and the former clan leader didn't use any spirit weapons when they fought. However, I can roughly estimate that their strength is more than 10,000 ancient horned dragons. Their cultivation base should be around the 4th level martial monarch stage. Duanling Tian speculated. At that time, Leng Qi and Lu Qiu fought with all their might. Their strength was short-lived. The turbulent heaven and earth energy did not have time to gather into the heaven and earth phenomenon. For this reason, they did not reveal their actual strength. All of this was just Duanling Tian's judgment. However, Duanling Tian had merged with the reincarnation Emperor Wu's 2 lifetimes worth of memories after all. His judgment was not far from the truth. Days went by. Duanling Tian's mansion seemed to have regained its peace. The clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, would visit occasionally and deliver spirit fruits that were meant for void transformation stage martial artists. Most of these spirit fruits were in Feng Tianwu's hands. As for the spirit fruits that Feng Tianwu had consumed before, they were in Xiong Quan's hands. Naturally, Xiong Quan's cultivation base had yet to break through to the void transformation stage, so he did not need these spirit fruits for the time being. Currently, Xiong Quan was working hard to break through to the void interpretation stage. Currently, he had already comprehended the 9th level advanced sword concept. The next step would be the sword profundity. Without the help of the profundity fragment, it was almost impossible for him to break through. Due to this reason, he was currently focused on improving his cultivation base and using the spirit fruits to further improve his cultivation base. Feng Tianwu and Xiong Quan's strength continued to improve. As for Duanling Tian, ever since Chang He and Leng Qi left that day, he had locked himself in his room and only went out once. When he went out that time, he ordered the servant girl to pass the spirit fruits that Lu Rui would deliver to Feng Tianwu. After that, he did not go out again. Elder Duan is still in closed-door cultivation? Many of the Lu clan's elders who came to ask Duanling Tian for advice on the medicine refinement Dao came in high spirits. However, when they left, they were all disappointed. In the beginning, many of the Lu clan's elders thought Duanling Tian would only be in closed-door cultivation for a few days. However, in the next 3 months they did not see Duanling Tian at all. In the end, they were certain that Duanling Tian was in closed-door cultivation. Immediately, the group of Lu clan's medicine refinement masters and elders no longer came to visit. Instead, they stayed at home and waited for news. They had already bribed the few servant girls in Duanling Tian's mansion. As soon as Duanling Tian came out of closed-door cultivation, the servant girls would inform them immediately. Elder Duan is still in closed-door cultivation? Lu Rui, the clan leader of Lu clan, who came to Duanling Tian's mansion again, could not help but smile wryly when he found out that Duanling Tian was still in closed-door cultivation. Then he turned around and prepared to leave. I'm afraid I can't continue with that bounty anymore. The grade 1 life recovery pills that Elder Duan refined earlier are almost used up. Lu Rui, who had just walked out of the mansion, sighed. He asked me to give it to you. At this moment, a cold voice entered Lu Rui's ears. Then Lu Rui heard an ear-piercing wind whistling behind him. It sounded as though something was flying toward him. He turned around hastily and raised his hand in the air. Lu Rui caught the thing that was flying toward him and realized it was a spatial ring. It was a spatial ring that did not have an owner. It's her. From the corner of his eyes, Lu Rui happened to see a fiery red figure disappearing into the depths of the mansion. This figure was not unfamiliar to him. It was Feng Tianwu. Chapter 1104. This Elder Duan gave it to me? Soon after, Lu Rui's gaze returned to the spatial ring in his hand. He realized the he that Feng Tianwu mentioned was their Lu clan's first interim elder, Duan Lingtian. Lu Rui pricked his finger and dripped a drop of blood to claim ownership of the spatial ring before he looked inside. 10 pill bottles were neatly arranged there. Opening the pill bottle, he could see many pills inside. These pills were flickering with a faint light. They were all pills that he was very familiar with. Grade 1 life recovery pills. It seems like Elder Duan is already prepared. Lu Rui shook his head and smiled before he turned around and left. In the northern mountain land above the vast sky, 5 figures flew across the sky as fast as lightning. They were 5 travel-worn people who had come from afar. 3 of them were leading the group while a green-clad middle-aged man and a blue-clad old man followed closely behind 2 of them as though they were their shadows. The 2 old men who were following them were having a conversation. Chang He, it won't take long for you to become a grade 1 alchemist who can refine pills with a purity of 90% and above. One of the old men in golden robes said to the other old man in silver robes. Although I don't know what method that kid used to refine pills with a purity of 90% and above, I'll still accept your blessing, Chang He said with a faint smile. Chang He smiled faintly as he spoke. In the depths of his gaze, there seemed to be a trace of ferocity and greed mixed within. Guildmaster Chang, I'll help you this time. I hope you'll fulfill your promise. The person standing next to the 2 old men was also a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had an ordinary appearance, but his eyes were bright. He was holding a sheathed long saber in his hand. As he stood there, his entire body seemed to have transformed into an incomparably sharp saber. At this moment he was also looking at Chang He. Don't worry, clan leader O. I, Chang He, will never go back on my promise. Chang He said solemnly. That's good. The saber-like middle-aged man nodded faintly and did not say anything else. You said the target this time, the Lu clan's grade 1 alchemist, is a young man who doesn't seem to be more than 30 years old? The golden-clad old man asked suddenly. Yes. Chang He nodded solemnly. Not only is he a grade 1 alchemist, but his cultivation base is even more shocking. I guess his strength should be at the 2nd level martial monarch stage. Grade 1 alchemist. LV2 martial royal realm. A young man under the age of 30? For a time, except for the green-clothed middle-aged man who seemed to have known about it, the other 3 people's expressions changed. Even the middle-aged man who stood at the side like a blade was no exception. He was similarly shocked because this was truly inconceivable. A human martial artist who could become a grade 1 alchemist before the age of 30 could be considered a monstrous genius who was favored by the heavens. However, this alchemist was not only a 2nd level martial monarch stage martial artist, but he was also a 2nd level martial monarch stage martial artist? Chang He, are you sure you're not playing with us? The golden-robed old man's face darkened slightly as he looked at Chang He solemnly. The other blade-like middle-aged man also looked at Chang He. His eyes were unusually sharp, as if they had turned into 2 blades that floated above Chang He's head, ready to fall at any moment. Playing with you? Chang He glanced at the golden-robed old man as though he was looking at an idiot. He said in a slightly speechless manner, Why would I play with you? Playing with you for no reason? Offending both of you at once? Upon hearing Chang He's words, both the golden-robed old man and the blade-like middle-aged man immediately retracted their sharp gazes. I know you think it's a little unbelievable, but it's the truth. You'll find out when we arrive at the Lu clan tomorrow. Chang He said to the golden-robed old man. A grade 1 alchemist who's not even 30 years old. In the history of Cloud Continent, I've never heard of a demon who became an alchemist or a weapon craftsman. That's why he can only be a human. However, he's also at the 2nd level martial monarch stage. This is unbelievable. The golden-robed old man muttered to himself as he narrowed his eyes when he heard Chang He's words. No, he might not necessarily be a human. The blade-like middle-aged man suddenly seemed to have thought of something and said. He might not necessarily be a human. Upon hearing the middle-aged man's words, not only the two old men next to him, but even the green-clad middle-aged man and the blue-clad old man behind the two old men also turned to look at him. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. They were curious about the middle-aged man's words. The middle-aged man was Lai, the clan leader of the Northern Mountains O clan. He was also the strongest powerhouse in the O clan. The O clan was as famous as the Lu clan in the Northern Mountain land. They were both known as weapon craftsmen clans. However, Lai was not a weapon craftsman. The reason he could become the clan leader of the O clan was due to his powerful strength. He was so powerful that he could crush everyone in the O clan. Due to this reason, Lai had a supreme position in the O clan. His authority in the O clan was not something the current clan leader of the Lu clan, Lu Rui, could compare to. Perhaps Lu Rui, the clan leader, had absolute authority in the Lu clan on the surface. However, he secretly respected the former clan leader of the Lu clan, Lu Qiu. Naturally, Lu Qiu would not appear unless it was necessary. He would never interfere with Lu Rui's management of the Lu clan. The reason Lu Qiu had such a position in the Lu clan was not only because he was the former clan leader, but it was also because he was the strongest powerhouse in the Lu clan. For example, the O clan also had a former clan leader. However, the former clan leader was only an ordinary grade 2 weapon craftsman. Due to this reason, the position of the former clan leader of the O clan was far inferior to the current clan leader, Lai. Lai, although you're not a weapon craftsman, you're still from the O clan. Don't tell me you don't know that non-humans can't become alchemists or weapon craftsmen. Chang He asked with a frown on his face. That's right. If he's not a human but a demon, it's impossible for him to become an alchemist or a weapon craftsman, let alone a top grade 1 alchemist. The golden-clad old man chimed in. Whether it was the blue-clad old man behind the golden-clad old man or the green-clad middle-aged man behind Chang He, all of them nodded in agreement. It was impossible for a demon to become an alchemist or a weapon craftsman. This was the iron law of the Cloud Continent. For countless years, no demon had ever broken this iron law. I only said that he might not be a human. When did I say he's a demon? Lai asked as he glanced at the golden-clad old man indifferently. Then you mean? The golden-clad old man was stunned when he heard this. Variant. Lai spat out 2 words under the curious gaze of the 4 people. Variant. The moment Lai's words left his mouth, it was as though a bolt of lightning had struck the clear sky. The 4 people, including Chang He, were stunned. Naturally, they were no strangers to the variant. The variant was the product of a human and a demon. It was either trash or a demon. The latter possessed an unfathomable and unique innate ability. Moreover, the latter's innate talent in martial Dao was extremely shocking as well. It far surpassed ordinary humans and demons. Most importantly, a variant could also become a grade 1 alchemist or grade 1 weapon refiner. This was because half of a human's blood flowed in their veins, unlike a pure demon who could not condense alchemy fire or weapon fire. Now that Lai mentioned it, it's possible. He might really be a variant. Chang He was the first to react after a long while. Then, he turned around to look at the green-clad middle-aged man who had been following him since the beginning. Ling Qi, what do you think? It's very possible. Ling Qi nodded and replied as though he was a man of few words. Variant. The golden-clad old man and the blue-clad old man behind him were shocked as well. In the end, the golden-clad old man nodded. If I'm not mistaken, he should be a variant. After all, the achievements he achieved at such a young age are not something an ordinary human can achieve. The others nodded in agreement. It doesn't matter if he's a variant or not. This time I'm going to pry the method to refine pills with more than 90% purity out of his mouth. Chang He's eyes were filled with greed as he spoke. Ling Qi alone is enough to fight that old man Lu Qiu to a draw. As long as Ling Qi holds Lu Qiu back, it'll be easy for the few of us to suppress the other martial monarch stage martial artists in the Lu clan. The golden-clad old man said, therefore, it won't be difficult to take that Duan Lingtian away. However, Chang He, you must be mentally prepared. Even if we take him away, he might not tell you the method to refine pills with more than 90% purity. Don't worry about that. Chang He said confidently. What? You have a plan? The golden-clad old man's eyes lit up. Tell me about it. That Duan Lingtian has a woman with extraordinary strength by his side. She seems to be a demon monarch powerhouse. Her strength should be at the second-level demon monarch stage, which is equivalent to a second-level martial monarch stage martial artist. Chung He said slowly. You've already told us about this. I'm asking you, how are you going to pry open that Duan Lingtian's mouth? The golden-clad old man asked again with a frown. Naturally, I mentioned that woman because it's related to her. Chung He glared at the golden-clad old man before he said slowly, if that Duan Lingtian doesn't cooperate, I'll torture that woman in front of him until he cooperates. A wicked smile crept up on the corner of Chung He's mouth when he reached the end of his sentence. You're really despicable. The golden-clad old man looked at Chung He deeply. However, how can you be so sure that he'll reveal his secret for that woman? That's not an ordinary secret. You don't know this. That boy is a sentimental person. Chapter 1105. Oh. The golden-clad old man's interest was piqued when he heard Chung He's words. What do you mean? Whether it was O Lai, the clan leader of O Clan, or the green-clad old man behind the golden-clad old man, all of them looked at Chung He curiously. It was obvious they were interested in this as well. Last time Leng Qi was so close to killing that woman. At that critical moment, he actually attacked me and attracted Leng Qi's attention. Chung He said, although he managed to save that woman, he was targeted by Leng Qi. If I didn't ask Leng Qi to spare him, he would have died in Leng Qi's hands. Chung He finished his sentence in one breath. This otherworldling is different from most of the otherworldlings in the rumors. Rumor has it that most of the otherworldlings are cold-blooded and rarely reveal their true feelings, let alone use their own lives to save the lives of others. The golden-clad old man sighed. It doesn't matter if he's different from the other variants. This time, I'll definitely be able to pry the secret out of his mouth. Chung He's eyes gleamed coldly. His face was filled with confidence. A day's time passed very quickly. On the second day, a group of buildings appeared in front of Chung He and the other four. We've arrived at the Lu clan, the golden-clad old man said. As the guild leader of the Weapons Craftsman Guild's main guild in the southern outer land, this was not his first time coming to the Lu clan. However, whenever he visited the Lu clan in the past, he would always be a guest of honor in the Lu clan and would always be warmly welcomed by the Lu clan. This was his first time coming to the Lu clan to snatch someone away. Initially, he did not want to offend the Lu clan. However, he was tempted by the things Chung He promised him. Driven by the benefits, he decided to help Chung He, even if he would fall out with the Lu clan because of this. Over there. After arriving in the sky above the Lu clan's estate, Chung He immediately looked at the east side of the Lu clan's estate. At the same time, he flew out and arrived in the sky above the area in just a blink of an eye. O Lai and the golden-clad old man followed closely behind Chung He. Behind them were Leng Qi and the blue-clad old man. The blue-clad old man was like Leng Qi. If Leng Qi was Chung He's shadow, then the blue-clad old man would be the golden-clad old man's shadow. As the only grade 1 alchemist in the southern outer land and the guild master of the Alchemist Guild's main guild in the southern outer land, the golden-robed old man was highly valued by the Weapons Craftsman Guild in the inner land. For this reason, the Inland Craftsman Guild sent out a blue-robed old man to follow him closely and be responsible for his safety at all times. After a short while, Chung He and the other four arrived in the sky above a spacious mansion. Duan Lingtian, get out here. Suddenly, Chung He opened his mouth and shouted. His voice was filled with yuan energy and swept out. It spread throughout the entire Lu clan mansion and even the Lu clan's base. For a moment, the entire Lu clan's residence was in an uproar. Someone is looking for Elder Duan? To ask Elder Duan to scram as soon as he opens his mouth, it seems like he doesn't have good intentions. Many of the Lu clan's disciples discussed animatedly. Naturally, they were familiar with the name Duan Lingtian. He was the only grade 1 alchemist in the Lu clan. Although there were now people targeting Duan Lingtian, and they did not come with good intentions. However, not many people were worried about Duan Lingtian. In their opinion, their Lu clan was one of the two most powerful clans in the northern mountain land. They were completely capable of protecting Elder Duan. However, compared to the optimism of the Lu clan's disciples, the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, had a grave expression on his face. Damn it! It's that Chang He again. Previously, Chang He had left with his tail between his legs. He had returned after 3 months, and he did not come with good intentions. It seems like Chang He has found someone to help him. After a short while, Lu Rui and the 3 great guardian elders of Lu clan gathered together and rose into the air. They looked at the 5 figures in the distance. Due to the distance, they could not see the faces of the 5 people clearly. However, they knew Chang He was among them. They guessed Leng Qi, who was always by Chang He's side to protect him, must be there as well. Let's go over and have a look. Let's see what kind of help Chang He has found to make him so confident that he dares to make a comeback. Lu Yuan, who was as fat as a ball, took the lead and flew out with his small eyes. Lu Rui, Lu Gui, and Lu Ji followed closely behind. After a short while, the 4 of them arrived at the sky above the east side of the Lu clan's estate. In the sky above the east side of the Lu clan's estate, 2 people were already confronting Chang He and the other 4 people. The atmosphere was tense, and a fight could break out at any moment. Lu Rui and the other 3 people were familiar with the 2 people. They recognized the 2 of them. They were none other than Elder Duan's confidant and the middle-aged man who was always at Elder Duan's beck and call. They were none other than Elder Duan's lover, and the middle-aged man who was always at Elder Duan's beck and call. It seems like Duan Lingtian is planning to be a coward today. To think he actually sent a woman like you here. However, other than Duan Lingtian, my target this time is you as well. Chang He looked at the red-clothed woman standing nearby. His eyes flashed as he spoke unhurriedly. Why you dare to humiliate him? As soon as Chang He's words left his mouth, the flames on the devastatingly beautiful woman's body surged and turned into a sword-shaped flame. Her voice was cold, and she looked at Chang He as though she was looking at a dead man. Just as she spoke and before Chang He could respond, she moved. Whoosh! Her 5-foot-long sword shot out as she followed closely behind. The tip of the sword-shaped flame locked onto Chang He. It was as though she had transformed into a fiery red lightning bolt. Her speed was so fast that it made Chang He's face turn pale. It's only been 3 months. How did her strength improve so much? That was the only thought in Chang He's mind. At the same time, the sword-shaped flames arrived near Chang He. They were so fast that Chang He was unable to dodge them. They were simply too fast, so fast that he was unable to dodge them. Humph! Chang He's heart was in his mouth when a cold snort resonated in the air. In the next moment, a green figure appeared before Chang He's eyes. When Chang He saw the green figure, he sighed in relief. His heart was finally at ease. He knew that he was no longer in danger since the person before him had made his move. Boom! As soon as Chang He's thoughts changed, the green figure charged toward Feng Tianwu and collided with the fiery red gigantic sword that Feng Tianwu had transformed into. A loud bang was heard. As the 2 forces collided, the airflow in the air exploded and set off waves of vibrating airwaves. The airwaves spread in all directions and turned into gusts of violent wind. Whoosh! 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 The violent wind blew, and it seemed like a demonic wind was blowing in the east of the Lu clan's mansion. Some of the maids who did not have a high cultivation base were blown to the ground. As for the people in the sky, their robes fluttered in the wind, but they did not suffer any substantial damage. Their gazes were locked onto the 2 people who were clashing against each other. At this moment, the 2 people separated after the loud bang. The energy surrounding the green figure dissipated, revealing his true appearance. He was a middle-aged man dressed in green. Due to the speed of his attack, the heaven and earth energy above his head did not even have the time to form the heaven and earth phenomenon before it dissipated again. It was as though it had never appeared. Unlike the green-clad middle-aged man who did not move, the fiery red gigantic sword that was formed by him and his sword was sent flying. It only stopped after flying for dozens of meters. Barf! The red-clad lady who was holding the 5-foot-long red flexible sword could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood with her pale face when the sword-shaped flame on her body began to wilt. The heaven and earth phenomenon above the red-clad lady's head that was formed by the heaven and earth energy was about to dissipate. It was 2,000 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons, and a silhouette that was more than 10 times larger than the ancient horned dragon. It was a strong visual impact as it descended. It was also a dragon, but it was not an ancient horned dragon. Its body was thick and long. It was equivalent to an ancient horned dragon that was more than 10 times larger. Of course, there was a big difference in the details. Whether it was the sharp claws on its body or the dragon scales on its body, all of them exuded a majestic aura. The ancient horned dragon could not compare to it at all. If the ancient horned dragon was a baby dragon, then this was an adult dragon. In that case, this dragon was an adult dragon. Not only were the details of its body completely different from a horned dragon, but even its head was completely different from an ancient horned dragon. The ancient horned dragon's head looked a little ferocious. It was quite different from the legendary divine dragon with a pure bloodline. However, this dragon that was more than 10 times larger than the ancient horned dragon was not much different from the legendary divine dragon, regardless of the details on its body or its head. Moreover, its pair of sharp eyes exuded a majestic aura at all times. It gave off an impressive feeling. The silhouette of an ancient black dragon. In the distance, the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rui, was dumbfounded when he saw this. "Clan leader, didn't you say Miss Tianwu can only exert the strength of over 8,000 ancient horned dragons at most if she unleashes her full strength? How is this possible?" Lu Yuan stared blankly at the scene before him. His little eyes were wide open as he muttered to himself. As soon as Miss Tianwu makes her move, she'll gather the heaven and earth energy to form an ancient black dragon silhouette and 2,000 ancient horned dragon silhouettes. Her full strength is equivalent to the strength of an ancient black dragon and 2,000 ancient horned dragons. Lu Ji said solemnly. The strength of an ancient black dragon is transformed from the strength of 10,000 ancient horned dragons. Miss Tianwu's current strength is equivalent to the strength of 12,000 ancient horned dragons based on the ancient horned dragon's strength. Lu Gui sucked in a cold breath. The difference between this and the strength of over 8,000 ancient horned dragons that the clan leader mentioned was too huge, right? I don't know. Lu Rui stared blankly at the heavily injured red-clad lady in the distance. His face was filled with confusion. He could not figure out what was happening before him. Could it be that Miss Tianwu has been holding back earlier? Chapter 1106. Miss Tianwu. Lu Rui and the 3 old men next to him were horrified when they saw Feng Tianwu was injured. No matter what, she was Elder Duan's confidant. Now that she was injured in front of them, how were they going to explain it to Elder Duan? At the same time, Xiong Quan, who was originally standing next to Feng Tianwu, was horrified when he saw Feng Tianwu was injured. He glared at the green-clad middle-aged man and shouted coldly, "You're seeking death." At that moment, the origin energy on his body skyrocketed due to his anger. It was as though it had transformed into a milky white sword-shaped flame that completely enveloped him. It emitted a fierce aura. Whoosh! In the sky, the heaven and earth energy stirred and gathered to form the heaven and earth phenomenon. 1,120 silhouettes of ancient horned dragons. The 9th level advanced sword concept was equivalent to the strength of 1,000 ancient horned dragons. The 9th level void interpretation's origin energy was equivalent to the strength of 120 ancient horned dragons when it was fully unleashed. This was Xiong Quan's full strength. "You're seeking death." Originally, when they saw Xiong Quan shouting at the green-clad middle-aged man, Chang He, and the others had a grave expression on their faces. To them, no matter if it was the red-clad lady or the middle-aged man, they were unfamiliar faces. However, this middle-aged man actually dared to shout at the person who had injured the red-clad lady. In their opinion, he should be quite powerful. He might not be weaker than the red-clad lady. However, when they saw the heaven and earth phenomenon above the middle-aged man's head, they could not help but look at each other with a strange expression on their faces. The person they thought was a powerhouse was actually someone who had not even reached the threshold of the peak of the void. Ant. The green-clad middle-aged man who had injured Feng Tianwu earlier, Leng Qi, who was tailing behind Chang He, spat out those two words and disappeared completely before Xiong Quan's eyes. Boom! Just when Xiong Quan's scalp went numb and he realized he might be in big trouble, a loud explosion resonated not far away from him. Rolling airwaves spread out and set off gusts of wind again. At the same time, Xiong Quan felt as if he was in the eye of a storm. Before he could react, he was sent flying by a powerful wave of air. When he gritted his teeth and barely managed to stand 100 meters away, the first thing he saw was the back of an old man appearing in front of him and blocking Leng Qi's way. Leng Qi was only about 10 meters away from where he had been. In an instant, a cold feeling surged up from the bottom of Xiong Quan's feet. In the blink of an eye, it rushed to his head, causing his body to tremble for no reason. At some point, cold sweat had appeared on his forehead. He knew, if it wasn't for the old man in front of him stopping Leng Qi in time, he would have died. With my current strength, when can I help, young master? At this moment, Xiong Quan's heart was filled with an indescribable bitterness. In front of these people who had come to cause trouble for the young master, there was nothing he could do. Old Patriarch. When Leng Qi attacked Xiong Quan, the clan leader of Lu Clan, Lu Rui, and the 3 Lu Clan's guardian elders were horrified. They immediately flew out to save Xiong Quan. However, their speed was far slower than Leng Qi. Coupled with the fact that Leng Qi was closer to Xiong Quan, they could only watch as Xiong Quan fell into a life-threatening situation. He's Elder Duan's man. If he dies, how are we going to explain this to Elder Duan? Just when they thought Xiong Quan was going to die, a thought appeared in their minds. The situation suddenly changed. The strongest person in Lu Clan, the old patriarch of Lu Clan, Lu Qiu, appeared and stopped Leng Qi to save Xiong Quan. After Lu Qiu stopped Leng Qi, there was nothing Leng Qi could do. He quickly retreated behind Chang He. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, the clan leader of Lu Clan and the 3 Lu Clan's guardian elders also came to Lu Qiu's side and stood side by side with him. Old Patriarch. Then, the 4 of them bowed respectfully at Lu Qiu. Lu Qiu nodded at the 4 of them before he looked at Chang He and the others. His gaze swept past Chang He and the others. Clan leader O, guild leader Mo. I wonder why you've come from afar? Lu Qiu asked as calmly as he could when his gaze finally landed on the middle-aged man and the golden-clad old man next to Chang He. Upon hearing Lu Qiu's words, Lu Rui and the 3 Lu Clan's guardian elders' expressions changed. Clan leader O? Guild leader Mo? In the northern mountain land and the entire southern outer land, there were only 2 people whom their old patriarch addressed in such a manner. The clan leader of Northern Mountains O Clan, O Lai. The guild leader of the Weapons Craftsman Guild's main guild in the southern outer land, Mo Jia. Following that, they followed Lu Qiu's gaze. With just a glance, they saw 2 figures that were extremely familiar to them. O Lai. Mo Jia. When Lu Rui and the others saw the middle-aged man who stood there like a saber and the old man who was dressed in a forbidden robe, their expressions turned grave immediately. Lu Qiu, let's not beat around the bush. Today, if your Lu Clan hands Duan Lingtian over to Chang He, I'll still be friends with the Lu Clan. Mo Jia looked at Lu Qiu with a gleam in his eyes as he spoke slowly. Friends? The moment Mo Jia's words left his mouth, the 5 people from Lu Clan were stunned. After a while, Lu Qiu was the first to regain his senses. He looked at Mo Jia and sneered. Our Lu Clan really can't afford to befriend you. When Lu Rui and the others regained their senses, they were furious as well. This Mo Jia had already bullied their Lu Clan, and he still had the audacity to call himself their friend? If that's the case, from today onward, the Lu Clan and I will no longer be friends. Mo Jia's tone turned cold when he heard Lu Qiu's words. The blue-clad old man behind him was wearing a blue robe that fluttered even though there was no wind. His eyes gleamed coldly as he stared at Lu Qiu as though he was ready to attack Lu Qiu. Clan leader O, are you here to help Chang He take Elder Duan away from our Lu Clan? Lu Rui asked as he looked at O Lai with gleaming eyes. O Lai glanced at Lu Rui and nodded nonchalantly. How dare you? Lu Rui's face turned grave, and he immediately scolded O Lai. How dare you? Upon hearing Lu Rui's words, not only was Olai stunned, but even Chang He and Mojia, and the two people behind them were stunned as well. Clan leader Lu, former clan leader Lu. Soon after, Olai regained his senses and glanced at Lu Rui and Lu Qiu nonchalantly. Your Lu clan and our O clan are the two great clans in the northern mountain land that have been passed down for 10,000 years. Although we've had many grudges for 10,000 years, we're more like family friends. Today I came to your Lu clan to help Elder Chang He take away the person he wants. As for the Lu clan, the O clan and I have no intention of offending you. Olai finished his words calmly. What a nice excuse. Lu Rui sneered. Olai, the moment you said you wanted to help Chang He take Elder Duan away, you've already stood on the opposite side of our Lu clan. From today onward, the Lu clan and the O clan are irreconcilable. Irreconcilable? Lu Rui's voice reverberated loudly in the air. At once, many people in the Lu clan's estate heard Lu Rui's words. It's the clan leader's voice. The clan leader seems to be saying that our Lu clan and the O clan are irreconcilable. Don't tell me the person who came aggressively and asked Elder Duan to get lost is from the O clan. That's possible. At once, everyone in the Lu clan's estate began to discuss among themselves. Many Lu clan's elders and disciples even flew up into the air. However, they only dared to watch from afar. Who knew if a fight would break out later? If a fight broke out, it would be a battle between martial monarchs. The shockwave from the collision of energy would be enough to send them flying or even injure them. Lu Rui, making the Lu clan and our O clan irreconcilable. I don't think you can make such a big decision, right? Olai asked nonchalantly when he heard Lu Rui's words. At the same time, his eyes shifted to Lu Qiu, who was standing in the distance. As far as I know, you don't seem to have the right to make such a decision for the Lu clan in front of the former clan leader. When Olai spoke, his face was calm. It was neither happy nor angry. However, there was a hint of mockery in his words. He was mocking Lu Rui for not living up to his title as the clan leader. Haha, clan leader, oh, do you think everyone can control the entire clan like you do? Chang He laughed and looked at Lu Rui mockingly. Some people might be the clan leader, but they don't have absolute authority. In my eyes, such a person is just a puppet. Guild leader Chang, you're always so direct when you speak. No matter what, some people are still the clan leader and a reputable person. It doesn't seem right for you to mock him in public, right? Emojie chimed in with a smile. However, judging from the mockery on the corner of his mouth, it did not seem like a person who would speak up for Lu Rui. His tone was more like he was adding fuel to the fire and mocking Lu Rui further. Lu Rui's face turned pale, and his eyes gleamed coldly. Who said Lu Rui is not qualified to make decisions for the Lu clan? At this moment Lu Qiu sneered. From the moment I handed over the position of clan leader to Lu Rui. He's the supreme clan leader of the Lu clan. His words represent the Lu clan's will. Lu Qiu's words were convincing as he defended Lu Rui, the clan leader of the Lu clan. At once Lu Rui's expression softened. A hint of gratitude could be seen in his eyes. He was grateful that Lu Qiu had helped him out of this predicament. Moreover, from today onward, other than protecting the Lu clan and the Lu clan's interests, I, Lu Qiu, will no longer interfere in the Lu clan's affairs. Soon after, Lu Qiu made his stance clear again so that the others could no longer mock Lu Rui. We don't want to interfere in the Lu clan's affairs even if you want us to. Today we're not here to make an enemy out of the Lu clan. We're only here to take Duan Lingtian away. Chang He took a step forward and looked at Lu Rui. Since the clan leader of the Lu clan has absolute authority in the Lu clan, please give us an answer. The moment Chang He's words left his mouth, Olai and Emojie took a step forward as well. They stood next to him and looked at Lu Rui. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.